Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? I am so ready. You don't even know. Good music? Thank you. I stole it directly from this game. I needed to take it. It's only fitting that we just let it play out as the finale for this game, you know? It just has to be this way. Let me raise that up a little bit. Oh, man. What am I going to be going through? Honestly, I don't know. I'm so excited. I just want to get into it. And I'm probably going to be playing for a decent while today, so I'm not going to wait. I'm not waiting. The victim's movements.
All yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. When Leo searched the boss's office, turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealings that day. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. What matters most is, there's witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place too.
So, there's apparently smuggling going on in Vigil's house? Is that what she's trying to imply here? Huh. Smuggled goods.
I don't know, do I? I'm just telling you what was written in the book.
Right. Tobacco, tea, spices, medicines, goods of all sorts flow into London by illegal channels from across the globe. It's well known that they're disposed of at irregular black markets that take place in the capital. Right. They're disposed of at regular black markets that take place in the capital. But the police are rarely able to locate them in time. So Inspector Gregson was investigating one of those black markets. It's been suggested that high-ranking government officials may be involved in black market activity. No doubt Gregson was trying to avoid details of his investigations being leaked to the involved parties. That would explain why he was operating on his own authority without the Yard's knowledge.
And do we know where the dealings were taking place this time?
In a particular room of a certain exclusive London gentleman's club. And on the day in question, the accused is known to have been there. When he says gentleman's club, does he mean like a ye old strip club? Like, is that what they're called? That's the conclusion of Scotland Yard's investigation into the matter.
It can't be. We haven't heard anything about any of this.
Real quick, just... He was known to have been there. Huh. Members of the club have testified to it. There's no question, the accused Barack Van Zieks was present. That would be very significant testimony then.
Oh my, but... Lord Van Zieks has made no mention of this at all.
In short, Lord Van Zieks had ample opportunity to murder the victim. Oh. The shiny sound. All right. Very well then. Counsel for the defense, begin your cross-examination. Tell me more about this gentleman's club.
All yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told.
So was he told to investigate this one?
So you follow orders, do you, Gina?
Yeah, let's not even ask about Gregson, just do you follow orders? Is this your job, miss? Are you doing it correctly?
Nah, not me. I'm above all that, see?
Oh.
Boss always had special orders for me. Grab us some fish and chips or go and give Toby his grub. That kind of thing.
Oh, so you're a porter, huh?
So errands more than orders, then.
This detective is still an apprentice, after all.
Yeah, well, this apprentice ain't one to sit around and wait to be told what to do, even by the boss. That's why I've been doing my own investigations into what happened. I didn't find much at first. A little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. Hold it!
So you went through Inspector Gregson's things?
Yep, as part of the independent Lestrade investigation.
I'm sure your superiors will be delighted to hear you taking the initiative.
So I snuck into his office when no one else was about. Because if anyone at the yard had seen me going in there, they'd have took me straight onto the street.
And, well, now they know that you went in there, so to the street with thee. This is sounding less and less like investigation and more like something else. The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook.
You got that right. Nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and her trusty assistant, Chief Inspector Toby. He found it hidden in one of his desk drawers that had a false bottom.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. Like, actually impressive. Well, then again, she's used to looting
So then I went to hide myself when no one could find me, so I could have butchers at what was written in it. Because if anyone at the yard had found me out, they have turned me straight out into the street. I've given it in now, though, ain't I? And if it weren't for me, it would never been found. Alright, boss is looking to some smuggled goods. Any idea what specifically? Do you have any idea where those dealings were taking place? Yep. It was all in the boss's notes. Let's see if I can remember. You can just open it.
As I already said, the illegal dealings were due to take place at a gentleman's club.
Yes, I remember, but I was hoping to find out the name of the club.
That won't be necessary. That is for me to decide, fuck you. What? It's conceivable that the club might be used again by smugglers in the future. Therefore, the prosecution has been asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings.
I don't know what all the fuss is about. It's right here. All I gotta do is read it out. And I could, too. I got this reading game buttoned up now. She knows how to read. Aww. Can't I show you what I can do? Go on, what's on?
Judge hasn't signaled his objection yet. I could try to find out. What should I do? I shall insist. It's a closed court anyway. It's a closed court. The proceedings are confidential. There shouldn't be any possibility of the information being leaked. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. No, my lord. The prosecution has no objection. I don't think you like that. Azuma? There's no question that Inspector Gregson was looking into these black market dealings. However, it's not yet been established that he was on that particular trail on the day in question. If the defense requires to know the club's name, the prosecution has no intention of being obstructive. Alright, sure.
Right there. I can show off me reading skills. Apparently, the smuggled goods deal was gonna happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse. Hold it! I don't think we've heard that mentioned until this point. Grouse? What sort of a club is that? I ain't got the foggiest. Clubs ain't exactly my thing.
You'd be good at a rager.
But I am kinda curious.
They're not places where a foreign student like you would be readily admitted.
Wow, now you're just being racist against your own kind. Goddamn. Have you looked in the mirror recently? I tell you what, me and Chief Inspector Toby could go in undercover. Could you, though? I could pick out a few good marks and see what else I could find out while I was in there. Gina, you are not a thief anymore. I really don't think you should go picking out anything. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings were going to take place, is it? Yeah, it's got to be. That's what the lower ranking detectives at the yard reckon. It says even lower ranking detective.
Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. So how did Inspector Gregson come to find out about it in that case?
That's the question, ain't it? Well, I'm just an apprentice, so...
And why didn't he inform Scotland Yard of his findings?
Yeah, that's why I was asking myself. Because, you know, I'm just an apprentice.
When it suits you, yes.
Anyway, the point is, something went out in that club, no question.
Can't say that for certain, though, surely. Yeah, I don't think I have anything regarding this, do I? Armbed, Red-Headed League. Yeah, this is... yeah, that was at the park, so nothing there. That's just the photo. Letter of introduction. Professor Mikotoba has some wonderful handwriting, doesn't he? This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. Is it just me, or does that make me sound extremely untrustworthy?
I do wish he'd at least called you a nice young man.
I'm really not sure that would help. Blackbird Lime.
Oh, it looks like there's some sort of steamship ticket. The SS Grouse, first class cabin 001.
Huh. Yokohama departure, 11th of September, London arrival, 1st of November. That's the boat that Professor Mikotoba and Judge Shigoku came on from Japan, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover.
I think it's almost been a year since we arrived on Dover at the SS Boyar. Seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary.
I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. That seems like a surefire way to lose it. Oh, well, how strange. Where could it have gone? I gotta stop predicting this game. Shoot Takumi. You're too predictable, man.
Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo?
Did I imagine it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? Alright. It's written in the back of a ticket for a passage on a steamship. I'm surprised I never looked at this until now. Dismissal note. Yeah. That's all normal. Standard. Yeah. Just the fact that this was blown off. Timing device. It would be a wonderful way of waking you in the mornings. Yeah, with an explosion. Alright. Works for me. Actually, I don't really have to investigate this, do I? Yeah. This is all standard shit. The Bridger's sense of humor. True enough. Right. Is there anything else that could seem sort of relevant? Yeah, just in case. Anything on the notice board? It had a league advertisement. Huh. Man, poor Gregsy. Inspector's identification. I don't think there was anything in here. Yeah, so I think it's only the ticket that has any sort of relevance to the grouse. Commemorative photo. I still don't see anything obviously out of place. Right, did I ever look into the trunk? I don't think I did. Damn. It's gone right through the letter in the metal behind. Gosh, for a metal chest like this to be so badly damaged. Whoever made the gash must have struck the side of the trunk with considerable force. I wonder how it's happened. Alright, can we open it? Let's have a look inside. Oh my god, I totally didn't look in this, did I? Look, there's something inside.
Ooh, let's see. It appears to be a passport authorizing him to travel overseas.
Was Inspector Gregson about to go on a trip abroad then?
Perhaps the date of the departure might tell us something.
That was...
Oh,
What is it?
it was for travel on 31st October, just one day before the incident.
What? Really? Yeah, so the Grouse was the ship that he was going to go on then, not the Gentleman's Club, huh? Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered. It doesn't make sense to me. And then the blood. Look, this dark stain here. Do you think...
Yes, I'm afraid so. I think it's blood.
Ugh, I knew you were going to say that, so that presumably means this was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed.
It's the most logical conclusion, yes.
This thing Gina's been carrying this around with her. If you didn't know any better, I suppose it does look like a grease stain from all the fish and chips. What kind of grease looks like that? Alright, chat, if you ever have a grease stain that looks like this, I think you probably developed dysentery or some shit. Like, that does not seem... regulated by the Health and Safety Board. Alright. Prince autopsy report. Yeah, no internal trauma. Iris's lucky charm. Yeah. I just need a yoink on that real quick.
What a charming little rabbity version of Mr. Holmes. Do you suppose this is how Iris sees him? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Your eyes are veritably boring into the poor doll's ears.
Oh, sorry, I was just wondering. What do you suppose would happen if I were to tug its ears with all my might right now?
I'm sure that we'll find out when the time is right. To become a proper gentleman, you must really learn stoic patience.
I want to know now! He definitely holds the secrets within him. Within this short little body. And that tiny little knapsack there. Alright, the passport. Passport number ACD0522 within 1 week from 31st of October. For the applicant and one additional person to travel, huh? Witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place too. Huh.
That's ketchup? Yeah. You know what? That makes more sense. If your ketchup looks like that, then that's fine. That's a good color.
Lord Van Zieks was at the club. He was. Detectives who visited the club yesterday to make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members report having seen the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest. It looks like there's no disrupting that he was there, then.
Well, we know that Lord Van Zieks was investigating Inspector Gregson, don't we? Perhaps he'd already discovered the Inspector's secret notebook.
Which led him to the club, you mean? Maybe. Presumably, then, there were also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there. None have been identified at this time, no.
So the all-important victim wasn't seen at this mysterious club.
So, if it turns out that he actually won the grouse ship, then that means...
Van Zieks has an alibi.
Oi, why don't you ask Inspector Lestrade, eh?
So that's all I've got to work with. Gina's not holding back with that ice-cold stare of hers, is she?
I really don't know what to make of all this.
Lord Van Zieks told us that he was investigating Inspector Gregson,
but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zieks could have been lying to us, do you?
That's not the only way to explain this.
Oh.
If everything Lord Van Zieks has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in this testimony somewhere.
You mean there are details we've yet to uncover?
Exactly. Clue, perhaps, that even Gina hasn't noticed. That's what we should be looking for here. Okay. Apparently, it was at the grouse. I'm just gonna save here and point out that, no, that's the wrong grouse. Okay. Take that. I've read about these clubs that exist here in Britain. As I understand it, they're places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted to... seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean that the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on the 31st of October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel.
My fault.
If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? A steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. This would appear to be a ticket for passage upon a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection!
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. Yeah, there's nothing to prove it, blah blah blah. Let's just present the passport already. How? Look at the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in the port. The ship arrived in the port of Dover on the 1st of November. Day on which the sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission, that ship hadn't yet docked on British shores. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging.
Objection!
The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Very well. In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. Bring out the passport. Okay.
Take that!
What's this? A passport for travel issued to the victim. Dated 31st of October. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. Fair enough. Order, order! This document is for passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the SS Grouse arrived at Dover. It docked on the northern coast of France for a night.
According to my father, who was on board, at the port of Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? He might have an idea. Oh! I'm impressed, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport.
What? Do you mean like you're obstructing evidence from us? Like, is that what you're trying to say? You mean you knew about this?
The prosecution's strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations and the line the prosecution has been asked to follow. But personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something.
What?
And now that you've expertly disproven their assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Asogi? A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord.
Did your message get deleted? I see him. And I saw ketchup. So, no, if you're asking, like, whether it's on stream or not, then... Oh, there it is. Just now. Took a second.
Alright, let me guess. This was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper.
Ah, damn it. The Reaper. Wait, no. Dobinbo went to Germany. So, not France. Then, is there any other victims who would even be in France? I'm not getting this one.
Order, order. What on earth are you saying, counsel? The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper when he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, as I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that.
What? Yeah, where's he going with this? I have no fucking clue.
Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper.
So, you're saying the mission he was undertaking was...
Obviously, an assassination.
Alright. Does he have it in him? Does he have it in him? You sent one just before that and after ketchup, but didn't appear? Oh, odd then.
Barak Van Zieks never carried out any of the actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast-iron alibi. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice.
Or... Well... It would just mean that he was the client, and then the assassin was someone different.
And you claim that was Inspector Gregson.
What the hell do you think you're saying, eh? My boss would never do nothing like that.
And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense.
Alright, we're gonna need proof that Asashin was the actual assassin. Van Zieks, you got any of the proof? No, it can't be. We also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? That Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper. Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord Van Zieks. No, the true Reaper is somebody else.
Barak Van Zieks is not the Reaper. A predictable response from someone who's advocating for the man. And even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went aboard the SS Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Oh, you have some solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, counsel?
Absolutely. It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard that steamship. Unless it was Gregson that was killed. In, like, self-defense, maybe? Professor Mikotoba and Judge Jigoku were on that very ship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm certain we would have heard about it. What's so funny?
You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board the ship. But I think perhaps you missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life.
What?
Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night with the intention of dispatching his mark. But his mission ended in failure.
Failure?
It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about?
What detail?
Inspector Gino Lestrade.
Eh? What?
The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier, that doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey.
Okay, but why would he, like, write them all down in a notebook? Unless he was investigating them. You're lying. Even if all them bludgers what got taken out had it coming. The boss weren't the Reaper. Poor Gina.
There's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may just be an apprentice, but if you've spent any time at Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumors.
I ain't heard nothing, and I don't believe a word of it.
Then testify again, as a representative of Scotland Yard. Consider it your chance to defend your boss.
I don't...
I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Miss Lestrade, you will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook.
I would check Steam? Not recently, no. Why? Oh, were you talking about your friend request? Yeah, I accepted it. So yeah, you're in there now. Alright, just making sure there's nothing else in here that I missed. Okay. Oh, wait. You sent me a copy of Mary Skelter too. All right, I can appreciate that. I'll take it. I know literally nothing about the game, but I'll check it out just for you. I appreciate that, man. All right. Maybe later. Also, I need to turn on the AC again. The Reaper's notebook. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up to these past 10 years. Names of victims, dates, and places and stuff, and the last entry in there was 31st October. It said grouse for the place on that date, and then the name of the mark. There was no about being a criminal what got away from the Reaper in a court 10 years ago or something. But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. It was just investigating the Reaper, that's all. Okay, so apparently there's one more person that wasn't assassinated yet, I suppose.
Keep personal opinions out of your testimony, witness. We require only established fact here.
This must be so hard for her.
You can't deny it now, surely. Ryunosuke Naruhodo?
What can't I deny?
The notebook contained the name of the final mark, and the location where the assassination would take place. That's information that the victim could only have known if he was working with the Reaper. So, who is to be this final mark? Go ahead, Inspector Lestrade. Read the name for the court. The name that's written alongside the entry that mentions the grouse on 31st October.
Eh? How do you read this then?
Reading's still not a strong suit.
That ain't the problem, alright, Dodo? She just immediately read on her face. We didn't say anything. Just heard it all across the courtroom. It's a funny name. It ain't English. It's hard to read.
So it's someone from overseas.
Let me have a bash at it. Seishiro, is it? Ah, Jigoku. Yeah, Seishiro. Jigokyo, maybe?
What? It can't be.
Seishiro Jigoku. Well, that's Judge Jigoku.
Seishiro Jigoku. Certainly not an English name, you're right.
Objection.
But that can't be right. I know Judge Jigoku, and I saw him the day before yesterday, here in London. So I know for a fact that the man hasn't been assassinated. Well, yeah, that was the point that they were trying to prove, Hodo. Keep up.
As I said, the Reaper failed.
Oh.
Gregson missed his chance to kill his mark and returned to British shores. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake.
Well, was Jigoku ever accused of any crimes? Like, I guess there was the one thing where he ended up speaking out in the stand in defense of, Genshin, but that was it. It wasn't any sort of serious crime.
But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake, so he killed the inspector personally. The Reaper, of course, being the accused, Baruch van Zieks. It's an undeniably logical argument.
Well, what good's your assassin to you dead?
Cosima, you planned for the trial to go this way all along, didn't you?
Hold it!
Get over here, my beloved. Yeah, that's what we know and love.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice whilst I stand accused of murder.
Lord Van Zieks, the accused has no right to speak uninvited in court. You will return to the dock.
I say nothing of whether or not I'm the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. But there is one thing I can say unequivocally. That girl is no detective.
Eh? Well, no, that's right, I ain't. I'm an inspector.
Repeating rumors heard around the yard. Reading entries from a notebook of unconfirmed origin. That's not testimony. It's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go exactly as you clearly planned.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, most of her testimony is kind of just hearsay. Huh.
Your hatred of me is understandable. In your mind, I'm sure I am your Reaper, who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself. By attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony.
What did you say?
Mr. Naruhodo, this is our chance.
My lord, the defense requests that the defendant be allowed to speak. He may be privy to important information relating to the testimony just given by the witness.
I don't think we're in his good graces right now, Hodo.
Very well. I'll make an exception and grant the request. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination.
Then allow me to toast to the court's impartiality.
Don't raise your glass in my direction, sir.
Oh, damn.
Counsel for the defense, begin the cross-examination immediately.
How long's it been since we've seen that one?
At once, my lord.
Alright, Reaper's notebook. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up to the past 10 years. Alright.
Hold it!
In other words, it shows that Gregson was basically acting as the Reaper. That you and all? That ain't the only explanation, is it? He could have been investigating the Reaper in secret, and that notebook said what he found out.
If I may. When originally people began referring to me as the Reaper, I didn't object. I believe the power to intimidate London's criminal classes into compliance with the law to be beneficial.
But you carried out your own investigations into the true identity of the Reaper, didn't you?
Yes, and those investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper.
One arm? What are you on about?
The Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on alone. The Reaper is an organization.
With you at its head.
I had spies at the yard keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements, letting me know when he was elsewhere. So I'd been able to check the most recent entry in his book. I knew the location.
You knew it said grouse.
Believing it to be a reference to the Gentleman's Club, I went there on the day in question to investigate, alone.
Ah, so that explains why several members of the club claim to have seen you there.
But of course, the inspector was not there.
Because at the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France. As shown by the passports found in the victim's metal trunk. Very well then, back to your testimony about the contents of this notebook.
Fine. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? You seemed a little shocked by something a moment ago.
Oh, no, it's all right. I'm overthinking this, aren't I? Okay, what is he thinking? Alright. Huh. Spectre was not there. He was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France. I'm not sure what he's thinking here. Names of victims, dates, and places and stuff. In the last entry, there's 31st of October. Names of victims, dates, places, and stuff. What's in particular?
Well, besides the victims' names, this other name kept cropping up.
What other name was that? Let me guess, Asashin.
It's the one I told you yesterday. The same name, written over and over again.
You mean Asashin?
Yeah, that's the one. She's a friend of yours or something, is she?
We'll get back to you on that one. Were you even listening yesterday?
Asashin, the assassin.
What? Like, a killer, you mean?
Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan of attack. He investigated the marks thoroughly, finding out when they would be vulnerable and who to use to get at them.
But the person actually executing his plans was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start to sound like an organized group of vigilantes. Then perhaps what it said in the passport document. Permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel. Could that additional person have been... Clearly the assassin, who was meant to take Seishiro Jigoku's life. Gina, can you confirm that, against the final entry that listed Grouse and Seishiro Jigoku, what name was written?
Oh, well, that's the only entry that didn't have a name next to it as it happens.
Well, yeah, because she's dead.
What? It just had, like, a question mark or something there, I think.
In other words, Gregson himself didn't know the identity of the assassin in that case.
But Gregson was the one making the plans, was he not?
Oh, how infuriating.
A nameless assassin. Whomstiver.
It's a grouse for the place and that date and then the name of the mark.
Hold it!
What if instead of Jigoku being the name of the mark, what if Jigoku is the assassin? How about that? And you're saying that the mark listed was Seishiro Jigoku.
That's what I said. Funny name, if you ask me. And I thought your name was odd.
So pleased to have lost my crown there. I don't know, I think they're both just fine. Mr. Jigoku is the presiding judge of Japan's Supreme Court of Judicature. I remember the man. He came to our country as a visiting student 16 years ago.
Studying international law and diplomacy under your tutelage, Lord Stronghart.
That bearded young fellow was a very able man, I must say. So Lord Stronghart was Judge Jigoku's mentor. If I'm not mistaken, he returned to Japan 10 years ago now.
10 years ago, after that fateful case.
Precisely. In the aftermath of the Professor case, his repatriation was reorganized immediately.
What does he have to do with all this? That's the one thing I can't figure out.
It's a mystery why such a man would be listed in the inspector's notebook.
We still know, like, next to nothing about him. I didn't think it was possible. The mood in here got even worse now. Maybe I'll just keep talking.
Alright, there's a note about him being a criminal who got away from the Reaper in court.
Really? What do you mean a criminal? Judge Jigoku is no criminal. What did you ask me? I don't know nothing about it. Oh, do you remember what Father told us? That Judge Jigoku did once appear in a court here in Britain. It was related to the Professor case, I'm sure.
Yes, of course. You're right. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire for which he was charged.
It was a pitiful situation, yes.
I imagine that Van Zieks just kind of blotted that out of his memory.
I'd forgotten all about it, but I prosecuted that trial too, as it happens.
You did?
It was considered to be an adjunct to the Professor proceedings, you see. But he was acquitted after being told to make reparation for the damage caused to the stand.
And there you have it.
Have what?
Surely the accused hasn't forgotten his own rule. That there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. Well, then again, hasn't the charge always been, like, murder almost every time?
What?
No! Are you suggesting that the reason Judge Jigoku was targeted for assassination, the man was sent back to Japan immediately after that trial? The Reaper had no time to do his work. But then, 10 years later, the mark returns to Britain once more. Perhaps now you start to see just how vindictive the Reaper is. For breaking a stand. Come on, that's absurd, to take someone's life for that. Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd, killing those who have been found innocent? Clearly the rules by which the man operates are beyond a sane person's comprehension.
But he broke a witness stand. Chill, bro. Right, I've had just about enough of this. Gina? All this nonsense about the boss planning to kill people. It's cobblers. All right, I assume that we kind of just proceeded by pressing everything. Okay. Come on, Odo. Yeah, yes? What you want me to do? Why ain't you saying nothing? Why ain't you yelling out objection or something? What? Gotta find a flaw. You do, usually. Someone's lying here, no question. You've got to work out who it is. Please, for the boss. Yeah, that's the thing, is that I still can't see Gregson being willing to do this shit, considering how we've interacted with him so far.
That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. I might have known that a common pickpocket from the back slums couldn't make a detective. When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card, Miss Lestrade.
God damn, she barely did anything. Sorry for her getting emotional about someone that died.
Is that clear?
I've had it with a lot of you. It's lies. Every bit and place you look in this world, innit? Well, I've had enough. Gina. So have I. After that little speech of Gina's, I made up my mind. To do what, Mr. Naruhodo? There was one point in this cross-examination when something that was said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd. Oh, do you mean... I'm not going to let Gina's plea for help fall on deaf ears. Alright. Gotta find a flaw somewhere.
Hold it!
Oh god, I have no idea. I want to thank you, Gina. You helped me find my resolve. Eh?
What do you mean?
Amongst everything we've heard during this cross-examination, there's one thing that defies explanation. One inconsistency.
What? An inconsistency?
Really, Odo? I don't quite know what it means yet or what it is, but... yes, there's an inconsistency in something that was said by...
ah, fuck.
I got no clue. Probably something that was said by... alright, so my only options are... Asogi, Gina, Van Zieks. Probably by Gina. Of course. By you, Gina. Of course? What's that supposed to mean, eh? Gina, Mr. Naruhodo? Gina is the person giving testimony here, so... if there are any inconsistencies, they can only have been introduced by her.
I don't know where you're going with this, but maybe the evidence you're obviously about to show the court will clarify. In that case, the defense will present evidence to substantiate its claim. To which piece of evidence does this alleged inconsistency relate?
I don't know. The one thing that still kind of bothers me is the one other person. I have no idea what about it, but... probably the passport?
Take that!
It's this. This is the proof that the apprentice's detective's earlier statement is flawed. It is? Shit. Alright. Damn it. Okay, I didn't get penalized for it, so that's what we have to work with. It may help us that Lord Van Zieks is in the stand too. Yes, perhaps. I'm sure Gina knows nothing she hasn't already told us. There's no point trying to get more out of her. Did you notice how Cosmo-sama reacted to Lord Van Zieks' words? When he called him an even more sinister Reaper, you mean? Well, I'm sure Cosmo intends to eliminate any shred of doubt that the man is guilty. He's looking for revenge against the person he considers to be his father's killer, after all. I do worry that if we fail to find a discrepancy in this testimony somewhere, the trial may end and adjudication won't go in our favor. Let's listen carefully again to what everybody is saying. Alright, so it was this line that Naruhodo said there was something odd about. In other words, Gregson was acting as the Reaper. Yeah, and Van Zieks is kind of just standing there.
If I may, when originally people...
okay. Compliance with the law would be beneficial. The investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper.
Reaper's an organization. Huh. Knew it said grouse. Inspector wasn't there. And by the passport in the victim's trunk. Okay. Of course, the inspector wasn't there because at the time he was making his way to the steamship dock on the northern coast of France. Well, no, shouldn't he have already been on the steamship? Maybe that's it. Overthink at this, aren't I? Alright. Let me just save here real quick. So, I think it's what Asogi said here then, that's kind of odd. Alright.
Hold it!
So, press on this. Wish there was a way to get through this a little bit faster, but sure, I can try. Something that was said by Asogi.
Take that!
By you, Kazuma Asogi.
Me. Is this some attempt at filibustering, Council? Oh, God. I have heard that word. I don't remember what it means. What is filibuster? Okay. Filibuster. Definition. An action such as a prolonged speech that obstructs progress in the legislative assembly while not technically contravening the required procedures. So basically just taking it all off on a tangent. And stalling for time. Okay. At least that's what I can see? I think, maybe. Alright. Prosecutor Asogi has given no testimony. What are you suggesting? I said that was inconsistent. You let something slip that you shouldn't have. When I present the relevant piece of evidence, I imagine you'll realize what you've done. Very well then, Counsel, go ahead. What evidence reveals this alleged inconsistency in something Prosecutor Asogi has said? I would assume it would be the passport.
Take that!
So, my initial impressions were correct. This is nonsense. Damn it! Fuck. I am dead. I believe what you intended to point out, Mr. Naruhodo, was when Kazuma said, because at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France. Making his way to the steamship. But wouldn't it not be the passport then? Within 1 week from the 31st of October. Huh. So I guess it could have been behind then. There then. Then is it something about the trunk? Just the passport. Nothing in the top there? No false top? Anything else? Damn it. Ours Lucky Charm. Sogi papers. The identification. The pocket watch. Huh. Notice board. Floor plan. Autopsy report. Hold to exit the body from behind. Human photograph. I don't see anything that contradicts that. As shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Yes, that's exactly it. I take it from your expression that you're not going to let this go. Correct, my lord. I made a mistake, that's all. What are you suggesting I said that was inconsistent? You let something... Okay. Fuck, I don't know. Alright.
Hold it!
So, something regarding him having left for the steamship. By his explanation. Something that was said by Asogi.
Take that!
Let something slip that you shouldn't have. Okay. Quick save here again. What do we have as an option? Could be something about the ticket. Steamship ticket. First class cabin. Departure on the 11th of September. London arrival the 1st of November. Called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover. Maybe it's that? Yeah. I think it's the ticket then. Shit. Alright, well. Damn it. Something regarding the steamship. Report. Pocket watch? Damn it. I'm confused. Anyone got any hints? Budget inconsistency and something Prosecutor Sogi has said. Maybe the trunk? Okay, the trunk. This is a trunk that belonged to Inspector Gregson.
Metal construction, is it? It's certainly very heavy. What's this? A blood stain, and a relatively fresh one, too.
Wait. Are we trying to suggest that he was killed before he left for the ship?
What? You mean that ain't grease from all the boss's fish and chips?
Fresh blood on the inspector's trunk. That suggests that the victim was traveling with that luggage when he was killed. That can't be. There was no mention of any trunk in Scotland Yard's report.
Yes, there's a reason for that. Immediately after the inspector's body was discovered, one of the street peddlers made off with the trunk, hoping to sell it.
But I found it, me, with me nose for trouble.
Which means that nobody should have known anything about the trunk. Unless, of course, we're talking about someone who was present when the victim was killed. Oh. Oh no. And yet, during the cross-examination of the witness just now, you said this, Kazuma.
Because at the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France. As shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk.
Oh, we never said where we found it. Oh. Well, don't I feel stupid. So the question is, how did you know about the inspector's trunk?
We know the man went on a trip to France. Where else would he have put his passport?
Objection!
But you knew it was a metal trunk. Answer me honestly, Kazuma. On the 31st of October, where exactly were you?
At the port of Dunkirk, on board the SS Grouse. Is that the answer you're looking for, Ryunosuke?
A little bit, yeah. Kazuma, what did you... I hadn't considered the possibility before, but... if Kazuma was there on the ship, then it could only have been for one purpose. Oh no, Mr. Naruhodo. Surely you don't think... I don't know. There's so many reasons to doubt Kazuma right now, but it's like, he's my boy! He's been there for me since day one! But at the same time, he's blinded by revenge.
Come on, Ryunosuke, you know the rules. The only thing that really talks in the courtroom is hard evidence. As I understand it, Inspector Gregson always took that case with him when he traveled. So as it stands, you've proved nothing.
Kazuma, are you challenging me to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt that you were there that day in the same place as the inspector?
He was there, with Gregson.
There's a clue that you've overlooked, a secret that trunk can tell us. Can't be sure at this point, I'll need to verify it, but I have a nasty feeling that I'm going to be right. The accusation being made is deeply disturbing, but nevertheless we must test it. Defense will identify for the court where in the trunk this alleged clue is to be found. Where's the evidence that ties Prosecutor Asogi to Inspector Gregson?
Maybe it's the gash? Oh, is that a chunk of the sword in there? Have you seen this huge gash across the side? It's gone through lead and metal behind. Wonder how it happened. I can't like see exactly what's in it, but I can see a chunk of metal in there.
Got it!
This is your proof. What do you say to that, Prosecutor Asogi?
Personally, I think tying the defense counsel to the inspector's trunk and tossing it into the sea would be more helpful. Dude, come on! What?
At least that way, London's courtrooms will be safe from his destructive accusations.
He really just said, sink this man to Tokyo Bay. Alright. Damn it. Seriously, what the hell is that chunk of metal doing there then? Alright, dark stain, it's blood. I was thinking that maybe a piece of his sword broke off in there. And then we could match it with his sword and see if there was anything in there. Oh, well now that it's open, I can see it. Do you see that? There's something stuck in the side of the trunk there. It's glinting. It looks like a fragment of metal of some sort, but it's wedged in so tightly I can't remove it. Well, don't cut yourself. You better leave it, I think. Alright, well. At least now I can present it.
Got it!
Let me just reload that real quick. God, that's a little dumb.
Take that!
Alright. Skip through all this. Sorry, I'm just also looking at something here. Okay.
Objection!
Oh, man. A lot more dialogue than I thought there was here. I hope not. I hope you're being a nice boy, Kazuma. You wouldn't kill anybody, would you? Not this time. Alright. I'm just gonna save here once more. Okay. This time I need to open the trunk and then present it. Open it. Look at the thing.
Got it!
Alright. There's a small piece of metal lodged in the wall of the trunk here, like the tip of a blade. Eh? A blade? Kazuma, slung around your waist as ever today, is the esteemed blade Karuma. Of course it is. Won't you draw it, here in this courtroom, for all to see?
Exercise caution, my learned friend. That man is the son of London's most notorious killer.
Bailiff, smack his nuts. Watch Prosecutor Asogi like a hawk. That won't be necessary.
Oh no. The tip is broken. It's not very clear to tell that the tip is broken. It just kind of looks like it's low poly. I mean, I kind of wish they just threw in some more jags in there. Just so we can make sure. If the fragment of metal from the trunk fits together with the end of the sword, the question of who was there with Inspector Gregson will be answered. Agreed, Kazuma Asogi?
Expertly done, Ryunosuke. That's a point to you and well deserved. Do you mean to tell the court, Prosecutor Sogi? Yes, on the 31st of October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. So the additional person authorized to travel was me. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark.
You are just fully admitting to this, huh?
What? What?
You mean, you're the killer whose name was omitted from this notebook? You are following the Reaper's orders to just dispatch Judge Shigoku.
Let me make one thing perfectly clear. I have killed no one. Explain. I accepted the assassination mission, yes, and I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk. But I never had any intention of carrying out the plan.
You were never going to do it. We can believe Kazuma-sama, I'm sure. After all, Judge Shigoku arrived safely in London the following day.
On the 31st, I boarded a train from London with Inspector Gregson. We traveled to Dover, from where we crossed the Channel to Dunkirk. Then we boarded the SS Grouse and made for the cabin deck, as indicated in the plan.
You went to Judge Shigoku's cabin?
Exactly.
But, I mean, doesn't this kind of imply that if you wanted the assassination to not go through, you would have had to kill Gregson?
He wasn't there, though. We decided to wait, but
you've already told us you had no intention of going through with it anyway.
I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life. So I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town and returned to England the following morning.
A boarding house in Dunkirk?
My signature will be in the register book. It will be simple enough to verify. Then, what became of Jigoku? Gregson was no assassin, so the mark was spared. I'm sure it's easy enough to imagine what happened after that. Gregson returned to England as well, having failed to complete the mission. He met with the Reaper in that room on Fresno Street to report the failure, causing the infuriated mastermind to pull the trigger and end his wretched agent's life.
You know, knowing Gregson, assuming that he would even do this in the first place, would he really have just let Kazuma go? Like, would he have just immediately decided, I'm going back to England, and not even looked into his whereabouts? That seems very not thorough of him.
That's the real truth behind Inspector Gregson's murder.
Objection!
But if you did nothing as you claim, how did the tip of your sword came to be lodged in the inspector's trunk?
Bleeding silence. I don't need to answer that.
I kind of feel like you do.
The victim was killed by a gunshot. A small fragment of a Japanese blade isn't relevant to the case. And accordingly, I choose to exercise my right to silence on that matter.
Bastard.
Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword as evidence.
Yeah, you have to acquiesce to this one, dude.
As you wish, my lord.
Great sword Karuma. Prize sword's tip is a small piece missing. Man, you really mishandled that blade, huh?
We must take immediate action now to verify whether Seishiro Jigoku remains unharmed.
What? Remains unharmed?
I agree. That should be our first priority. It's recently come to my attention that he hasn't been seen since yesterday.
That is true. How did you...
When a foreign dignitary invited to Great Britain goes missing for 24 hours, it's only natural that the question of his safety should arise.
You don't mean to say that you think Judge Jigoku may have been killed?
The Reaper is more than one assassin at his disposal, and he has the power and influence to give orders from the inside of a prison cell. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zieks?
Yeah, just don't even pay this any mind, dude.
If I were truly the Reaper, I'd be able to tell you.
Order in the court, order. We will take an emergency recess for 30 minutes. Now, guests of the symposium have been told to maintain regular contact with the organizer's office. If the man can't be located within half an hour, we will have to assume the worst.
Oh no, not Judge Jigoku.
No one would want to kill a harmless Japanese man who'd only just arrived in the country. Except, that is, For the Reaper wanted to finish off a mark that slipped through the neck 10 years ago. Or, you know, maybe another Japanese person who knows him that would want him dead. I don't know. I would have to agree. Mr. Naruhodo, for the defense's sake. My lord? I sincerely hope we are successful. If we are unable to confirm Mr. Jigoku's healthy existence in the next 30 minutes, you will face grave difficulties. Hey, we're on a completely different trial here. Jigoku's death would have to be investigating, assuming he is.
Court is adjourned for 30 minutes.
Well, shit. Yeah, who said we had to go into the lobby?
Kazuma-sama, the Reaper's assassin. I feel as though I'm in a nightmare.
I can hardly believe it either. But on the other hand, Kazuma isn't in the habit of making up stories.
I have such a terrible sense of foreboding. If something awful has happened to Judge Jigoku, then I feel as though things will only spiral further and further out of control.
Felt it from the moment I stepped into the courthouse this morning. A strange sensation that we were careering towards a foregone conclusion. Well, in the worst case, we might only have 30 minutes left. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there's anything we can do but wait now. We're out of options. Is it time to pull in the rabbit?
Actually, there may be one last hand we can play. Or rather, one last ear.
Yeah, now I suppose. Of course! The little Mr. Holmes doll that Iris gave us.
If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Holmesy's ears as hard as you can possibly can.
Perhaps now is the time. What should I do? Pull Harley's ears or not? Pull! Here goes then. I'm going to do it.
Good luck, Mr. Naruhodo.
No looking back. Heave! Ow!
That scream sounded like Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, where are you?
Here, my dear fellows, here!
Is it a transceiver? It's the felt doll talking.
Pull the ears again, Mr. Naruhodo, as hard as you can.
Alright then, I'll put all my strength into it. Heave! Ow!
Please, my dear fellows, you don't need to pull my ear off.
I see. So he just had it attached to his ear, and that causes the R1 to pull. That's so silly.
Mr. Holmes, where are you?
Myself and my trusty partner
They're back on the steamship.
are presently in the first-class cabin of the area of the SS Grouse.
The SS Grouse.
She left Dover last night after the final pieces of cargo were loaded. We're currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour.
You've taken a ship to France.
Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump the Straits of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to the station and by train to the port, in order to board this vessel in time.
So, you mean you'd already worked it out? That the steamship was where everything really took place?
Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what is my name?
Holy shit, he actually did his job.
Sherlock Holmes, world-famous great detective. Recited to perfection. Well done.
You're genius, Mr. Holmes. That's the only word for it.
Stop pulling at him. Ow, 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 ow.
Miss Susato, gently with his geniuses here, please.
Oh my, I'm ever so sorry.
If I may, Holmes. Oh, it's Mikotoba, isn't it?
Ah, there you are, Mikotoba.
You may remember that it was in fact I who made the connection to the SS Grouse. At Scotland Yard yesterday when we examined that notebook and I recalled my steamship ticket.
But of course it was, my dear fellow. And not once did I controvert that fact. I merely had our court-bound companions utter my name.
I mean, he did just ask that.
Yes, you did, didn't you?
We've just entered a recess. The trial resumes in 30 minutes from now.
And if we're unable to present any new leads, then I'm afraid to say...
Do not fret, please. It's for precisely that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt that we shall have welcome news for you within the half hour.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Do we just get an investigation, like, right now in the middle of this? Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be wonderful.
Until later, then.
Yes, you'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first.
Ow! I shan't be hearing anything. You keep tugging my ear in that mindless fashion.
Hey, blame Iris for her design. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver operate in that way in the first place, Holmes?
Why the deuce would I know? It's Iris's invention, not mine.
It's the only way it's gonna get your attention, that's why. Mr. ADHD here. Whilst I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Holmes. We have but half that now before the grouse puts to sea again. Half that now. Alright. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in Naples before long.
There are times, Mikatobo, when you make a surprising amount of sense. So, let us begin.
Let us begin. Let us can't begin. Oh my god, Stroganoff. First class cabin number 2. Yes, this is the one. But I don't believe an investigation of the cabin is going to be plain sailing. That's crewman standing in front of the door is an angry looking fellow.
Why you are loitering here? Who are you? My dear fellow, do you not recognize a world-famous great detective when you see one? Question really ought to be, who are you? Do you not recognize world-traveling great sailor Chicken Stroganoff when you see? Great detective? I don't think so.
What? Why does he have Holmes' name, like, written on his body?
You see that, Mikatoba? It would appear that this man is a devoted follower of mine.
Goodness me, is that a tattoo that says Holmes?
I must say, while such adoration is flattering, naturally, it does leave me a little cold. What are you talking about? Leave, now. How distressing! My loyal devotee knows me only by name and not by appearance. And yet, I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he's a shipman. Currently traveling the world aboard a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know this? Elementary, my dear Mikatoba.
He said it, he said the thing! I'm sure it was. 3 days ago, I was bound for London aboard the steamship, you see. We're looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Jigoku.
There is no one with this name on board.
But we know that he purchased a ticket for passage.
You mean Eastern man? He left ship 2 hours ago. Here at Dunkirk. He said something about emergency, I think.
What? Are you sure? So Seishiro's realized that we're after him, has he? Oh. Oh. Was he actually a part of the Reaper?
His cabin is the one behind you. We should like to investigate, please. No, I have orders not to let even mouse inside.
Well, you know the trick. Pulls out a Glock 9mm.
Mikatoa, be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Make up some excuse so that he leaves the area.
Right in front of him. Doesn't great detectives see that even sailors have ears, both left and right?
Curses! The plan is ruined!
Oh my god. Such a himbo. I love him to death. And you only have yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Holmes.
Forget it. Cabin door is locked. Even if I am not here, you cannot get inside.
Mikatoba, get the steel pipe. I'm sure you haven't forgotten my special talent, have you? Opening any lock.
Within a mere 5 seconds. So if you'd be so kind as to afford me the requisite time, old friend, your typically accommodating manner.
How could I refuse such a typically unappealing request, old friend? So I need to distract that burly sailor for 5 seconds, do I?
Good man. So, the game is afoot.
Alright, now I'm playing as Mikatoba. Holy shit. I already see. I already see. That's another first-class cabin, and yet its door is completely unguarded.
Empty as well. I had a quick look inside earlier, though I confess I didn't investigate the wardrobe. There may very well be a young Japanese fellow inside, perspiring merrily.
Not this time. That's his second home. If you're referring to Naruhodo, you know very well that he's currently perspiring merrily in court.
Does it not strike you, though, Mikatoa? Why the man stands guard only in front of this cabin while both are apparently vacant?
Yeah, because I assumed that was Jigoku's cabin. And Jigoku may actually just be in there. Kaicho Tsunaka, hello. At first glance, I used to think it was the same ship Miss Nukulina was on, but it's not since the place is green and not blue.
Really?
I just thought they completely reused the art for this section and just said, oh, it's just a different steamship, and it probably just has the same architecture, and that would have made sense to me. But no, if all this was originally blue and they swapped it for green, like, That's a really nice attention to detail. Thanks for pointing that out. This might be a mousetrap, I think. Perhaps I could distract the crewman's attention with this somehow. Leave it alone. No, I think not. That would never work, surely. Need to concoct another distraction. Yeah, the fire alarm would definitely do it. Ship section. Oh, the switch for the electrical lights. Perhaps if I were to turn off the lights, the crewman would be able to see what we're doing. No, not this one. That would never work, surely. Need to concoct another distraction. I can't throw away the logbooks. It's a speaking tube for members of the crew to communicate with one another around the ship. If I could just persuade our stocky sailor friend that he needed to use it. Holmes could unlock the door whilst he was distracted. The question is how. Yeah. That's the way back to the deck. But we certainly can't give up on this now. Alright, fire alarm it is. This would appear to be an alarm bell. All hell would break loose if that thing were to ring. The whole crew would know about it. Set it up! Here goes then. Pardon me in advance. Yo, what are you doing? If we were at sea, that would be very bad problem. What's going on down there? Seaman Stroganoff, report at once. Sorry, sir. Nothing to report. It was just stupid trick. No, not by me. By world famous... No, as I told you. Now, Holmes, now. Done. Not even 5 seconds, eh? Don't stand there gulping at my brilliance, Mikotoba. In we go. Oh, yes. Barge in there. Pardon me, Jigoku. 3rd November. SS Grouse, first class cabin number 2. Oh, yeah, everything's around here. Yeah, this was his cabin, clearly. Why is there a bundle of cloth just in the speaking tube? Good gracious. It would appear that the occupants of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. Of course Jigoku would wear the fucking sleeping cap. Those clothes on the floor there, they're Seishiro's without question. Well, it seems we are just a little too late. Yes, by about 2 hours. Still, whilst we are here, we should investigate thoroughly. There may well be 2 hours worth of clues to find in here. That burly crewman may return any moment, Holmes. Indeed he may! Which makes this all the more thrilling! God, this is the real Adventures of Sherlock Holmes that I want to read. I want the pure, unadulterated truth of this universe. It would be so much more entertaining than whatever Iris is writing. I'm sorry. Alright. Mikotoba, bar the door! He must not enter here! Why is the plaque just over here and taken off? The wall's a slightly different color just here. Do you see? Indeed, what have you observed arises when a frame that has been hanging for some time is removed. At least he knows that. Perhaps your friend is an art thief. Now there's a bold deduction worthy of a great detective, I'm sure. It may very well be the elusive thief who has been plaguing France's galleries of late. I think perhaps we should focus our attentions elsewhere, Holmes, don't you? That's outlined the wall. I feel as though I might have spotted something of a similar shape and size elsewhere. Yeah, this. These are the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Additionally, there are severe punishments for stowing away in wardrobes and/or travel cases. Yeah, I was about to make it go full circle. So, Holmes, would that make you a pet or a stowaway? Oh man, the callbacks, they're so good. One reason you love Holmes, he always finds some way to make an important situation sound fun. Yeah, because the situations he's in are always just fun. That's what it is. All right. One moment. Okay. I'm glad that Naruhodo got his own cause added to the regulations. I feel the rules have increased since I last read them. Probably just my imagination. What about the fact that they're not straight on the wall? Doesn't that strike you? You may be right. Probably just your imagination, though. A trifle. And you know what I always say, Mikotoba? There is nothing more important about trifles. It's probably just my imagination, but I think that might be slightly off. Alright, well, at least we have an inkling now. Plenty of reading material to keep passengers occupied in the long sea voyages. Found the mixture of classic literature and easy reading to be most satisfactory, I must say. Whoever stocked this bookcase was a hopeless heretic. Why, because it didn't include your book? There's no copy of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, my dear fellows. I'm afraid it's just me, but no, you're quite right. More blasphemous than overlooking the Bible.
least Mikatoba knows to go along with the bit.
I shall leave a copy behind. I just happen to have one with me.
You're a true missionary of the Church of Great Detectives, aren't you?
Oh my god. I want an entire game like this now. Ryunosuke Susato, you're great, but move over. I need the prequel story.
There's a substantial heap of clothes on the floor. An overcoat, shirts, a dressing gown.
Momohiki work trousers, a Tanzan robe, a Haramaki waistband. Clearly the clothing of a Japanese man.
And clearly, Japanese men are unaccustomed to the culture of the wardrobe.
Wow, alright, Jesus.
It looks to me as if they've been thrown in a heap like that in something of a hurry.
I don't know, maybe he just has all of his dirty clothes in a pile like the rest of us, you know? Maybe not all of us are as well put together.
Indeed, you could help yourself to a Japanese man's shirt, perhaps.
Sorry, I just had to turn off my AC.
I'm sure you made mention of packing too few.
I'd very likely drown in one of Seishiro's shirts. No, I'll just buy any extras I need, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. That man is fucking built. Alright, the trunk is very obvious, but I want to see... Actually, no, it's probably this. The wardrobe first. We can see if we find an extra Naruhodo in there. Maybe one of his family members.
According to the report, I was given Naruhodo was concealing himself in Asogi's wardrobe.
Indeed he was, and it was of a similar size to this one. Ah, you must climb inside yourself, my dear fellow. Experience it for yourself.
What? Whatever for?
It was the site of my first fateful meeting with Mr. Naruhodo. You can experience the moment for yourself now, complete with my dramatic rhetoric. Come along now, in you go. This will only take a moment.
We only have a moment before the Seaman breaks back in. We don't have a moment for this.
Really, Holmes, surely you can just tell me what you said.
Well, I uttered some brilliant remark and opened the wardrobe to reveal the stowaway murderer.
I think I'll just read about in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Alright, what about the tea set?
Quite the exquisite glass, I must say. See here, how it has ice in it.
They have refrigeration on board this ship. Yes, they have something they can store the body in.
Is something wrong, Holmes? You suddenly trailed off.
Ice, Mikatoba, ice.
Yes! I'm not the only one that noticed it.
What opulence the first-class passengers enjoy. Chilled drinks.
Pardon?
Could it be that this steamship is equipped with an electrically refrigerated cold room, do you think?
Well, it is a luxury liner after all. They have enormous refrigerators for storing all sorts of lavish produce as well as ice. On our voyage from Japan, we enjoyed culinary delights from all over the world.
Yeah, it's all making sense now.
Suddenly, Mikatoba, the sight of you is making my mouth water.
I haven't taken on the flavor of the food I ate, you know?
Not just yet, Mikatoba. I have seasonings. It's a very sizable trunk indeed.
Seishiro was partial to all things large.
And a rather clumsy fellow if he failed to notice he left that behind.
Perhaps he left it on purpose. It's lighter than you might think, but still a hindrance to a speedy escape.
Oh, I thought for a second that the inside of the trunk was banging, that there was someone inside the trunk, but no, it's just Holmes lockpicking as usual.
Pity. It's locked, so we can't look inside.
You're the lockpicker.
Surely 5 seconds from now, the situation would be quite different, though.
Sadly not. There's a 7-digit combination lock. And I'm not in a morose enough mood to work through all the combinations at present.
He doesn't know how to pick a combination lock, chat. Unlike the rest of us. Alright, inside the garbage.
This is the waste paper basket, look, and there's still rubbish inside.
Indeed, then let us pry. I've discovered recently I have a penchant for exploring the contents of those waste paper baskets.
That was a year ago, Holmes.
I sincerely hope only for your work.
Off he goes.
Ah. Here we have a notice issued to passengers from 3 days ago.
3 days ago, the night before we arrived in London then, when I was still aboard myself.
Evacuation drill notice, 31st of October. Following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required... Let me read it!
Yes, there was an evacuation drill. I remember now. For our safety and security, all first-class passengers were constantly under the watchful eye of the crew. So it was a welcome relief to have some privacy for once. Alright, a notice about a practice evacuation to be carried out by the crew of the SS Grouse the night before the ship arrived in Dover. It was found in Judge Jigoku's cabin. No, I can't investigate the little tube.
You are still here.
Able Seaman Stroganoff. Hello again.
Was beginning to think you'd never materialize. You are waiting for me. Of course. I was expecting you to burst into the hearty Russian profanity far sooner. I was in trouble with Captain because of a trick you played before.
Poor innocent chicken. So we can pick a lock, hide in the closet, hang from the wall in the ship, eat soap at a young age, shadowbox Naruhodo, be a wax statue, but can't pick a combination lock. I know! Unbelievable. Like, this man is talented in so many things. And definitely pretty fucking awful at some others, so I guess that's just one of them. You know what? Maybe it really isn't that surprising.
It is all your fault. Ship is leaving port soon. Get off, now. Of course, we shall disembark presently, my dear fellow. But first, there's something that must be done.
Is it time for a theater of logic and reasoning?
What are you talking about? Why, naturally. The debunking of your deceit and the bearing of the truth. Kakoi?
Is that Russian for something?
I'm afraid I see through your lies. For one thing, Mr. Jigoku has not yet left this vessel at all. And for another, my dear Seaman Stroganoff, you know exactly where the man is even as we speak, don't you? Oh, how can you...
Good gracious, Holmes. You mean you've worked it out? All of it? He's worked out the beginning.
It's really been too long, hasn't it, old friend? 10 years, no less. So, would you care to join me for a dance? My inimitable logic and reasoning.
Nothing would please me more. We get to see him do the song and dance now.
What is this? We have but minutes until the vessel puts to sea. No games now.
It's playing.
Mr. Stroganoff, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim.
Yeah, there was also one statement that we missed. Okay, time is of the essence.
You told us that Jigoku left the ship some 2 hours ago. That is what I said. Sadly, there was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there's something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. What?
Yes, of course.
I see you've noted it too, Mikotoba. Then please, do take the lead. What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked 2 hours ago?
Well, probably the fact that all of his shit's on the floor.
Let's see what the last 3 years have done to your observational skills then, Mikotoba.
Maybe Holmes is finally showing some humility and not embarrassing himself.
It's been 10 years since we last did this, Holmes, not 3. Why, of course it has, quite. Now, all the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. But as I always say, you must not merely look, but observe. Observe and the answers become clear. So, impress me. I think I can manage that.
Alright. Can I finally look at the speaking tube? No. They disembarked 2 hours ago. Probably all the clothes here. The trunk. Yeah, probably the trunk.
Take that!
No? Damn it.
Mikotoba, no games now with my words, were they not?
Shit. Autosave. You got my back here? Alright. Good enough. Alright. What are my options here? Probably the glass, then? Because he would have had to pour himself a drink within this time and have it not melt.
Take that!
Okay. Alright, it's the glass then. That makes sense. Yeah!
Perhaps you should have cleared away that glass. How curious that the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago. It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival, with this well-chilled glass in hand.
Get your mind off the refreshments, Holmes.
One might even conclude that somebody informed him of our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganoff?
What? Why would Seishiro run from us?
Yeah, that's the real question here. Alright. Another reason why I love Holmes, he knows what he's doing and acts like a fool when Naruhodo's around to test his deduction cells, and this deduction proves it. I'm sure he's always known the truth of every case Naruhodo's been in. I'm not entirely sure about that, because it's been implied that Mikotoba has been kind of taking the reins here, and that Holmes has been saying, Mikotoba, take it away! And it was that Mikotoba who actually figured out that it was the steamship, which they went on to last night. So, I don't know. The jury's out on that one.
Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class cabins of the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jigoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan?
Ah, that's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door, and Seishiro was, yes, 50 days in this very cabin during our voyage.
As I suspected, for you see, there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jigoku had to hide.
What traces?
I know nothing about this. Ah, this is news to you, isn't Mr. Stroganoff?
Holmes, what exactly are you getting at?
As I said, there are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm quite sure won't have escaped your notice.
Something out of place in here.
That's the key to this, Mikotoba. Remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous. I must say, I didn't foresee ever doing this dance of deduction with you again, Mikotoba.
The world's slowing down just so they can have this conversation mid-dance.
Oh, quite. But life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we well know. Now then, let's see if I can't uncover the truth here.
Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow.
Alright, the remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous. I'm not sure about this one. Speaking tube.
Maybe something about you.
What's rather awkwardly hiding the traces of a crime? What crime would there even be? I don't know, maybe the fact that the speaking tube was muted? Like, just the fact that they didn't want someone to hear? Oh, maybe the rules of passage were moved because there's something behind it. Yeah, there we go.
It's the rules of passage in this frame here. They're obviously out of place. The way they're hanging crooked on the wall is if they were put there in a hurry.
Yes, as I'm sure you've already concluded, that frame was originally over here. The shape and size are a perfect match. You are right. When did frame move? Hardly the most observant of crewmen, are you, Mr. Stroganoff? I would think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability.
Jesus.
Ugh.
Oh dear, that really seemed to touch a nerve.
So, Mikotoba, why don't you lift that frame off the wall?
Ooh, a bullet hole. Okay, so yeah. So this implies that Jigoku actually shot Gregson in this room. Huh.
That looks like a bullet hole. What? Who has been shooting walls?
I see the projectile has been removed. Clearly, the capable occupant of this room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Stroganoff. Ugh. I have the distinct impression that you're attempting to shield said occupant.
I don't know what you were talking about. Why would I try to protect these two strangers?
Ah, so we're talking about the same man, I see. Good. Oh.
Idiot. Fucking got him.
Sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time, aren't you? Because there's some very noteworthy evidence that explains the reason why you're lying for the man. Yes, you've been told to keep up this pretense as clearly shown by...
I really don't know how to approach this one, Holmes.
Ah, my dear Mikotoba, simply keep first principles in mind. Study your subject from every angle, and I'm quite sure that you'll see it. In fact, I put a wager on it.
So I'm to glare at the fellow from all sides? Well, I can certainly do that. Mikotoba, is there something about yourself you'd like to share with the rest of the class? I don't know, maybe buff men are your type. Alright, you've been told to keep up this pretense, as shown by... Bro. Bro. Bro, you've just been bribed? That's all?
It's almost too obvious for words. Quite. The universal language of the world. Money. And I'd wager that the Eastern fellow in question is Seishiro Jigoku, yes? So I presume you realize what this means. There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cabin. And the way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. But... I believe you know, Mr. Stroganov. You know where Mr. Jigoku is hiding at this precise moment in time.
He's in the trunk, is he?
As always, Mikotoba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally.
Yes, I think you're onto something there, Holmes. You found the chink in this burly fellow's armor.
You need only follow the man's gaze to know where our prey is hiding. Slightest flicker of the pupils, a minutely delayed blink. Nothing escapes my attention, even that which is barely perceptible.
You'd hardly call this barely perceptible, Holmes. The man's turned his entire head. Yeah, he's a little bit, very dull. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, that's what I was thinking of. It's not exactly what you describe as a furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious.
We shall let your tapping toes decide, my dear fellow.
Alright, where might a certain someone be hiding? Well, is there literally any option except the trunk? Actually, no, he's in the waste paper basket! How couldn't I have known before?
Take that!
You turned immediately to look at this large trunk, didn't you? The truth is, Seishiro Jigoku was unable to escape from the ship in time, and is at this very moment doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. I don't know, he's a very big man. Can he even fit in there?
If he still has a breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low on air. I imagine he didn't count on us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible.
But how can we? Are you forgetting about the combination lock? We don't know the 7-digit code. Okay, it's 7 digits, therefore it's 7777777. Obviously. Everyone has to do that when they have a 7-digit code. It isn't just me, right? Oh no, I doxed myself.
The combination lock can be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure.
Of course.
In short, before Jigoku hid himself inside that trunk, he must have been told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. As I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganoff.
No, I know nothing about combination code. Oh, he wrote it on his forearm there. It's not Sholmes that it's saying, it's upside down.
Alright. Don't move a muscle, my good seaman.
Huh?
Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk?
How on earth do you expect me? Very obvious.
It's a 7-digit number, remember? Quickly now, we have little time.
Alright. I need to review the scene real quick. Okay, so 5, 2. Oh, they only have. Oh, these controls are something. 5, 2. Review scene. 31045. 31045.
Take that!
Alright. Wow. Only 0 through 5 is the numbers. 7777777. Of course, Damon Get would know a lot about that code. Thank God, someone understood.
That did it. It's open. You had some metal, didn't you?
Classic pastime. Hiding in enclosed spaces.
Well, Eugene, you found me now.
Seishiro?
I was really hoping beyond hope not to find you here, you know. You're not entirely unsurprised, I take it.
No, quite. I just wish it were some other way.
Well, are you ever going to introduce me?
Ah, your reputation precedes you, Mr. Holmes. I've read stories of many of your exploits. Excuse my manners, Holmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion.
Devil's in the details, Mikatoba. I believe you meant to say your old friend and traveling companion who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour.
See, my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor.
Oh, man. This does not feel good.
Well, Seishiro, are you going to explain all this? You know it all by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life here on this very ship. By the Reaper of the Bailey. Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. But I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. Do you decide to flee the capital without saying a word to me about it? I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you.
Yeah, because now you've just stalled your trip.
It's somewhat surprising, I must say.
What is?
Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available.
So says the protagonist of some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion.
Damn, this bitch said, don't care, go away. Plus L, plus ratio.
The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased tickets and here I am. I've just seen for myself the obvious remnants of that incident in this cabin. So you'd already purchased your return ticket before we'd even docked in Dover, had you? Prevents anyone else taking this cabin and seeing the evidence. Is that it? Eugen, I have nothing to say to you.
Ah. Bitch remains silent.
Well, in a mere 5 minutes, this ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once.
You have no jurisdiction over my movements.
Are you gonna inflict extraterritorial rights? Is that what's going on?
Right, we have this, Seishiro. Take it.
A warrant? Hello?
What is it? It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British courts would be. You came prepared then, Eugen. Come on, let's go.
One moment.
What is it, Holmes?
Inside Mr. Jigoku's trunk, I found this rather fascinating trinket.
Huh. I feel like that's sort of familiar, but what would it be a part of? I don't have the court record with me, so I can't compare evidence, sadly.
What is it? Seishiro. I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small components from something. But what? I have no idea.
By the look on his face, I think he genuinely doesn't know. Yeah, I think it was something that belonged to Gregson.
Well, let us pocket it as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France.
Alright. Well, at least we know he's alive. That's a good step for us.
Well, young Naruhodo, I think we've done as much as we can, I'm afraid. The rest will be on the shoulders of you and your assistant.
Alright, back to the trial. Oh, oh baby. 3rd of November, 12:10 p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Kazuma Asogi. I know you, and I know you wouldn't lie, but still, there's no doubt that you're holding something back. You know more than you're saying. Yeah, lying by omission.
During the past 30 minutes while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict.
You have no evidence, literally zero.
Objection.
No, the trial cannot end now.
You're a Japanese man, Ryunosuke. You should know when to lay down your sword.
What, and commit seppuku right here, right now? And you should know never to presume when the battle is won.
The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony. And there can be only one conclusion, that the accused is guilty.
All relevant testimony? Far from it. There's still a crucial witness from whom the court is yet to hear a single word of testimony.
In that case, call your witness to the stand at once, counsel.
I assume that Holmes has gotten back to us through the earpiece. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible. The witness is already on his way and scheduled to arrive tomorrow.
Who on earth is this crucial witness?
Seishiro Jigoku. The very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper.
Judge Jigoku! You found him! But the investigations of every policing resource in the capital suggest that Jigoku is already dead. How in the name of God did you find the man?
Damn, he brought up the name of God. In an Ace Attorney game, oh my god. He was located in France during the recess at the port of Dunkirk. Thanks to one of Mr. Sherlock Holmes' famous deductions.
Sherlock Holmes.
Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death, because along with Prosecutor Sogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which means that Seishiro Jigoku was the sole witness. We can clarify exactly what happened aboard the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. I think we can kind of piece it together at this point. Alright. One moment here. Come on. I just want to make a PNG image. God damn it. Oh well. Here. This is what I can do then. We're gonna take a quick intermission here because I want to try something here. All right. Display capture. Existing. Yeah, this one. So I just want to kind of put this all together here real quick. New file. Photoshop saved me. Okay, let's just real quick. So, what we kind of already know at this point is that... Yeah, okay, come on. Small. Okay. So, currently we have Gregson. And if I can turn off the smoothing. We have Gregson, right? And we know that he had to have been frozen. And the only way that could have happened was if he was put into the ship freezer. And that indicates that he was actually killed on the ship. So, therefore, we can kind of just assume that Gregson, for the assassination, went over to Jigoku to try to carry out the assassination himself. And he must have fucked up royally, considering that Jigoku probably grabbed his gun and then shot Gregson, and is thinking, oh shit, if I don't figure something out here, then they're going to know that he was killed on this ship, and my life is at stake. So, in order to cover up the crime, Jigoku puts Gregson into the freezer. I assume that he uses money or some shit to influence Stroganoff to look the other way. And he brings the corpse all the way into London. Where then, in his trunk, he probably just instantly carries him over to the house, assuming, that he actually knows the location somehow. I don't know, maybe Gregson had something on him that indicated where that was. And then he sets up the candle trick. And Van Zieks walks in, and that's how everything goes down. Of course, there's a bunch of gaps in there, but I think that this is the overall flow to it from what we know so far. So it's just going to be figuring out these individual details now. At least that's what I think it's all think it all is. Alright, theorizing over.
Well, it appears too soon to move to adjudication at this point. The prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side?
Are we even gonna have an investigation? Because, like, what can we even look into at this point? No, my lord.
No objections, my lord.
We live to fight another day.
By the skin of our teeth.
Man, I really thought that we were just gonna completely wrap up the entire trial today. We might actually need to do another stream, damn. Alright. Unless I can just cruise through everything here in like 2 or 3 hours. We'll see. The unexpected halt of proceedings sent a clamor around the courtroom. But outside the Bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then, at a little past 8 o'clock that evening, Mr. Holmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. Oh, we get a little meal together! Nice. Alright, 3rd of November, 8:07 p.m., Holmes' suite.
We have returned, my dear fellows.
Welcome back to Britain, and thank you for your timely help.
Think nothing of it. I believe you've had an even more wearing day than Mikotoba and I know.
You could say that. We were on the brink of defeat in court earlier.
So this prosecutor, Sogi, had you on the ropes, did he? And he's your best friend, you say?
I thought you already knew all this. Well, he's not really the man I knew in Japan anymore. Kazuma's changed. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, it's incredible to think that he'd even entertain the idea of acting as the Reaper's assassin. Well, no, it was clearly a ploy because he fucking hates the Reaper.
Well, nevertheless, you must introduce me. After all, I've only ever met the young man as a core.
I forgot about that! When all this started, almost a year ago now. Yeah, and when you covered up the fact that he was a corpse. Mr. Holmes still hasn't told us the truth about what really happened back then. About the motivation for what he himself described as a great detective's lie.
Now then, I must say, it's really quite a journey all the way to France.
Well, it is another country, Mr. Holmes. So, what's news of Judge Shigoku?
We took him to Scotland Yard. The investigating detectives there have a lot of questions for the man.
For Professor Mikotoba, this must be quite a shock for him.
Ah, yes. I picked this up at the telegraph office on our way home.
What is it?
Surely you haven't forgotten already. I put upon you for the matter only yesterday.
You put upon me, Holmes. I had to fill out your telegram to Japan and foot the bill as well.
Right. When he sent that telegram. Okay. What actually was it? Oh, you've had a reply already? Oh, so urgent though, Mr. Holmes.
Such matters can wait until later. I'm far too hungry for an involved conversation at present.
That's literally all this game is. We're saving the answers till tomorrow. We're saving it all for later. Damn it, I want it now.
Well, that's good news because supper is ready, everyone.
Ah, and what a feast it is. If I were none the wiser, I'd think the trial were won already.
Yeah, are we gonna... Mikotoba, are you gonna have that conversation with Iris too?
Roast beef, kippers, stew, steak, and kidney pie. Yorkshire pudding.
Tomorrow could be a very long day, so eat up.
In that case, I think I'll seat myself just here. This place appears to be the only one set with a helping of pheasant as well.
Oh, sorry, Holmesy, not there.
Why ever not? Are we in set places this evening?
Yes, and that place is for Susie's daddy.
But for me?
That's right. I made it especially for you, Professor Mickey. Professor Mickey.
You know, I like it. I like it.
I see. Well, that's terribly kind of you.
Yeah, she wants to ask.
It's a shame, really.
What do you mean?
Well, for a brief moment, I believed it. That Susie and I were half-sisters, I mean. Oh.
I assume she figured something out.
Iris, do you mean... Yes, I know now. I overheard yesterday. I secretly listened into the conversation you had. after I tricked you all into thinking I'd left.
Yeah, that sounds like her. What? The animation never gets old. The misunderstanding arose because of that autopsy report from 10 years ago. But actually, it turned out that neither Dr. Watson nor Professor Mikotoba are Iris's father. Yeah, she's probably an orphan, right?
Yes, about that, Iris. You know,
I know. You can't tell me at the moment. Oh, Iris. The pheasant is by way of an apology. I'm sorry for eavesdropping.
Oh, no, that's quite alright.
And why don't I get any apologetic pheasants?
Look, Holmes. Don't worry about it. You brought this on yourself. So just who was Iris's father? I suppose that's not something we'll be finding out today.
So then, let us dine, while our largely pheasantless plates are still piping hot.
Fine idea, Holmes. It all looks absolutely delicious.
Eat as much as you like. There are always seconds.
God damn it, now I'm really hungry. This could be our last chance to ask questions before tomorrow's trial. About that telegram from Japan and about Kazuma. I can't let this opportunity slip away. Of course he's curled up on the couch like an e-boy. Sorry. Just need to check a few things here before we keep going. Okay. How you doing out there, Holmes? Would you like a burger? Mr. Holmes, what are you doing?
Surely it's abundantly clear, no pheasant. That I wasn't brooding over Mikotoba's refusal to share his pheasant with me. Nevertheless, I felt the need to withdraw from the social circle for a while and look on with hungry eyes.
Sorry, Holmesy, but I cooked that pheasant especially for Susie's daddy.
Even though I played the role of father to you for far longer.
Look, even she thinks of you as only her roommate. Mr. Holmes, could I discuss some things with you? I don't think he's in the mood.
Certainly, my dear fellow.
Never mind, I forgot he's bipolar.
I find myself quite in the mood for a spell of conversation. No doubt, you're hungry to learn more of my deep love of game.
I can probably contain my curiosity on that one. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about something worse.
You needn't look at me in that fashion.
In what fashion?
It seems that before we discuss the pheasant, we have some rather
unpheasant matters to discuss. Yeah. First off, though. Okay, everything's still same as usual, so. But did you remember that I'm an attorney, though? Mr. Holmes, would you mind looking at this?
This is hardly the time, Mr. Naruhodo, as I'm sure you will appreciate.
Oh, no, of course not.
My attention is entirely drawn to one single matter now, the pheasant.
Anyone would think you hadn't eaten in weeks. Look, I can completely understand. Honestly, no, I just want meat. Alright, one moment. I'm actually getting fairly hungry here, so I'm gonna take like 5 minutes to grab a snack here, and I'll be right back. Alright. See you in a... Alright, I've had the sandwich. I'm back to full capacity. Let's get back into it right away. Go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go, go, go. Alright, the telegram. So, what was in that telegram that you received back from Japan then?
Ah, this. I thank my lucky stars it arrived in time. Record found as indicated. Duplicate follows. K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Watson.
Ah, right. This is the telegram that was hidden in the music boxes in the last game.
What? Those 4 names.
We've come across that exact same list before. They came up in that unforgettable case last spring. What appeared to be a simple case of aggravated murder turned out to be masking monumental intrigue. A plot that involved the sale of British governmental secrets to foreign states. In exposing the means by which those secrets were being leaked, we deciphered a fragment of the message. K. Asobi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. But we didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. All we knew was that the information had been sent by somebody in the British government to somebody in Japan. Yeah, just the names, nothing regarding the actual message. So why are the names coming up again now?
Yes. Where did the sender of your telegram discover them, Mr. Holmes?
I have here the message I had wired yesterday. Allow me to read it to you. Enter Judge Jigoku's office undetected and investigate telegram records. Expect to find communication from Britain dated 1 year ago. List of 4 names. Need by tomorrow. Naruhodo.
Wait, just completely slapping our name for the blame there.
I sent it to a detective I know who specializes in clandestine missions of this nature.
You asked Inspector Hosonaga to undertake such an onerous task for you?
Of course it's Hosonaga!
And in my name.
I wonder what guise he opted for this time.
To my dear fellows, it was a matter of great urgency, you understand.
No, I completely get it. Anyway, the list of names we found in Seishiro's office is Holmes predicted. So you mean that mysterious collection of names that was sent from Britain to Japan was? Never mind, Holmes is more competent than he looks. You were totally right, Kaito.
It was sent to Judge Jigoku. He was the intended recipient.
Don't believe it. Just got back home from a shopping trip so you can chat now? Well, welcome. Good to see you, dude. I don't even know if we're going to be finishing the game anymore. Like, they just keep dropping bombshell after bombshell.
But that doesn't answer the question of what the list of names actually signifies.
I did formulate a hypothesis about that. But without a shred of evidence, I couldn't possibly have shared it.
Mr. Holmes looks deadly serious for once. Alright, managed to locate by stealing into Judge Jigoku's office. Alright, I need to look at this. Record found as indicated, duplicate follows from Hosonaga. Well, this is just saying that he found it, right? Yeah, it doesn't give us any details about what the actual contents were, does it? Right in this. You see these little things all over the place, don't you? It's the parts on the top of a pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? Oh, it's from Gregson's watch, okay.
It's called the crown, I believe. A watch would be quite useless without one.
Crown, like what sits on top of a monarch's head. It's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually,
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo.
if this is a crown, I have a feeling I might have seen a monarch around here somewhere with a very bare head.
If by monarch you mean pocket watch, then I'm quite sure you have.
Yeah. Time to take another gander at it. Yeah, right there. What do you think, Mr. Sato?
I feel sure I know exactly what will fit here.
But really, I was just thinking precisely the same thing.
We're about to see that the little round component is actually part of Inspector Gregson's broken pocket watch.
But really, I was just thinking precisely that too. Naruhodo, you're not making a good case for yourself anymore.
Bink. A perfect fit.
I knew it. Alright, perhaps you knew it.
I'll make a note of this new information at once.
Alright, it's now clear that's the missing crown of Inspector Gregson's pocket watch. Alright, that'll definitely not be relevant later. And that was the key for rewinding it. Alright. Cosmo's death. That tragedy we had to go through on the SS Boyar. It was all for nothing. Cosmo wasn't dead at all. We were completely taken in by the lie you told us. Your great detective's lie.
I took no pleasure in deceiving you. However, at the time, all that concerned me was preventing the young man's study tour from taking place, whatever the cost.
Really? What?
I capitalized on the events that transpired to see that he was sent back to Japan.
His remains, you mean? So to prevent him from finding out the truth about, Genshin's death, presumably?
Precisely, Mr. Sato. And then, I made sure that somebody else was sent to Britain in his stead.
Oh my, you mean...
The arrangements between our two countries was already in place. One university student lawyer and one judicial assistant to be accommodated on a study tour. In other words, by arranging for someone else to fill the place originally intended for Mr. Asogi, I would successfully prevent the man from arriving on our shores for several years at least.
Wait, do you mean to say that? It was all in aid of stopping Cosmo coming to Britain. That's why you...
Think back, Mr. Naruhodo. Was there not somebody who quite casually urged you to continue on the voyage to England?
Yeah. The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead.
So Hosonaga was in on it too? Goddamn! Or maybe not.
My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer and the study tour can continue, surely.
But there's no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Holmes. We know of no other lawyer.
The voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer.
So you manipulated me?
I've often remarked on the extraordinary lengths to which friendship will drive a man. I was quite sure that you would rise to the challenge for your late friend.
I don't believe it. But if it was all contrived... I mean, what happened was treated by the authorities as murder. A woman was mistakenly arrested as the perpetrator. What do you suppose became of her?
Naturally, I didn't allow the misapprehension to have any serious repercussions. I subsequently explained everything and assisted the unfortunate soul in finding the foreign refuge she sought.
I seem to remember Mr. Sato and I had some rather strong words for her.
Well, she was certainly not devoid of all guilt. She deserved every word, I'm sure.
Wonder if she made it to America then.
I'm afraid I simply cannot comprehend it. Why would you go to such lengths, Mr. Holmes? Why were you so determined to stop Cosmo Summon from reaching Britain?
I think we can piece that together ourselves.
Truth is, 12 months ago, there was already a very tangible omen of the impending tragedy, you see.
Oh.
An omen that, at this very moment in time, is close at hand. Close at hand.
An omen of all these tragic events that already existed a year ago is close at hand. We need to find out exactly what Mr. Holmes knows. What? Alright, something from a year ago then. Do we have anything regarding that? Time of death is not possible. Bloody handprint. Something about the Asogi papers? Mr. Holmes, would you mind looking at this? Okay. Guess not. Literally anything? Was it because of this telegram? There's no room for doubt with the instructions in this telegram, Mr. Holmes. You were very clear that it was Judge Jigoku's office that should be searched, so you obviously knew that's where this list of names was to be found.
K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson.
But we only learned of those 4 names just over 6 months ago now, and only because they appeared as part of the top secret government communications that were leaked.
That's true, yes. But at the time, you were unaware of the background. You see, those 4 names were wired to Japan. around 6 months before that. Approximately this time last year, in fact, when you were both still in Japan.
Yeah, I was definitely a little late.
It really would be hypocrisy on my part to reprove others for intercepting state secrets. Because after all, I am perpetually eavesdropping on communications between British and Japanese governments.
Excuse me? What?
You're perpetually doing what? How?
Never mind the details, but you should know. No secret is safe from Sherlock Holmes when he has designs on knowing it.
Oh my, Mr. Holmes, what a fabulous line.
All right, no, I'm starting to see the vision now. The fact that he's starting to like reveal all this to now and what he's been doing in the background, it's like, okay. Yeah, and considering the fact that he was playing dumb on the ship, especially with those deductions, then yeah, it kind of has been for Naruhodo's benefit, huh? Damn.
Now, 1 month after that list of 4 names was wired to the recipient Jigoku in Japan. Dr. John H. Watson was murdered. As soon as I learned of the incident, a hypothesis rapidly took shape in my mind. As it turned out, I was partly correct and partly mistaken. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of all the tragic events that would soon follow.
Mr. Holmes, please, tell us all you know. Tell us about these 4 names and the tragedy to which they're all somehow connected.
I've been monitoring the secret communications of the federal government. Literally, that's literally what he's saying. The 4 names. This man is literally the... I have 3 phones to which we make illicit purchases, another to evade taxes with, etc., etc.
As I said, when I learned of Dr. Watson's murder in Japan, my mind immediately turned to those 4 names, because you see, there was someone else on the list who I believed to be the recently deceased. What? Who? A Shin, as it was transcribed in Japanese script. In actual fact, Miss Asashin. That was a familiar name to me. She was a professional killer, well known among London's unsavory classes.
Oh, I see.
But she had completely vanished from existence several months before Watson's murder. So I came to the logical conclusion that she had herself been killed. And accordingly, I became fearful for the lives of the remaining 2 persons on the list.
Ah, Kate Asogi and T. Gregson.
And considering that Gregson's also dead, it's like, maybe it's not entirely unfounded.
Owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself. But I determined it would be safest if young Asogi were to stay away from Britain.
Ah, so that's why you went to such lengths to prevent his study tour from going ahead.
Exactly.
So, you already knew who Kazuma-sama was, Mr. Holmes.
Oh yes, Holmes and I have exchanged correspondence for years. I've recounted many tales about Asogi-dim in my letters, and the news of Dr. Watson's death, of course. And Iris knows about that now, too.
So, Dr. Watson is dead then? I didn't know.
Oh, we fucked up.
Iris. I know he wasn't my daddy, but still. It's very sad. So sorry, Iris. We knew the significance of the name, obviously, but... we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. No.
Oh, just no then. Okay. Well, what you just told us, Mr. Holmes, doesn't completely tie in with the facts. There's one big hole in your hypothesis.
A big hole, Mr. Naruhodo.
I will refrain from commenting on a big hole. Yes, you mean about Asashin, I presume?
Oh, of course.
Exactly. She wasn't killed, was she? She was in Japan, posing as a visiting student under the assumed name of Giselle Brett.
I'm glad you're keeping up, my dear fellow. But I only became aware of that fact 2 days ago, in the foyer of the Great Waterloo Hotel.
Oh, really? Huh.
Ah.
And upon hearing that startling revelation, the hypothesis that I had formed surrounding those 4 names was completely turned topsy.
Well, we haven't even heard your first hypothesis yet. What? Topsy? Topsy hypothesis. Kinda rhymes. What do you mean when you say your hypothesis was turned topsy, Mr. Holmes?
I believed all 4 names on the list to be the names of victims. However, I was mistaken.
Very much so. Asashin was a killer. So this telegram is a list of both victims and killers, is it?
No. No, never mind. I know where he's going with this. These are the names of all the different assassins that are underneath them. Maybe that's what they're going with.
Indeed, and it would seem that Miss Sheen was dispatched from Britain with the sole intention of dispatching Dr. Watson.
Or maybe... Actually... Oh, it's the pair of names. So... Wait a minute. So... it's red top down. Kazuma Asogi to kill Tobias Gregson. Asa Shin to kill John H. Watson. I see. Although it's weird that they formatted it like that, so I'm not entirely sure if that's the right conclusion.
Right, the visiting student status being merely a front. Ah.
Which would of course explain why no motive could be determined for her actions. The real reason Dr. Watson was killed by Asashin is because he was the target of an assassination.
And forearmed with that knowledge, fresh consideration of this telegram puts the list in a very different perspective.
What do you mean?
Well, does it not strike you? There's another among the 4 who subsequently became a visiting student.
Wait, you mean...
But of course, a name you only know too well.
You mean...
Kazuma!
Oh! He did say in court earlier today.
Yes, on 31st of October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark.
Young Mr. Asogi accepted that mission a year ago now.
Yeah, who contacted him then? I assume it was Jigoku? Surely not.
In conclusion, this document is a contract of sorts. An international agreement, one might say, detailing an assassin exchange.
An assassin exchange? How could Kazuma possibly have gotten involved in something like that? Huh. But if that's so, then...
I don't know. Let's assume that we have 2 parties, each wishing to dispose of a distinct individual. Those 2 parties then make a contract to swap their respective assassination targets. That would then be an assassin exchange.
But for what purpose? So to begin with, the British assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Japan where she kills her target. And then, the Japanese assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Britain in order to eliminate his target. Yeah, but that just seems like it would intentionally create a shit ton of friction between the 2 empires. Maybe that was the objective? It certainly does sound like an exchange.
What on earth is the point? Don't forget, Naruhodo, that the British assassin at least escaped conviction. Thanks to diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction.
Yeah, extraterritorial rights. Oh yes.
Such jurisdiction should be a null and void under the terms of the new treaty between our 2 countries. So the fact that was brought into play suggests intervention at the very highest levels.
Highest levels?
These murders were 2 sides of the same coin, linked not by a common motive, but by contractual agreement. As such, they appeared utterly unrelated, yet in truth the assassins were complicit in one singular devilish scheme. That dissociation and the safeguard of diplomatic immunity were, I believe, the motivation behind this plot.
But wait a minute, Holmes. If this telegram really is describing the exchange of assassins as you're suggesting, it would mean that the Japanese killer's target was never Seishiro Jigoku at all. It would mean Asogi's target was actually Inspector Gregson.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm thinking that Jigoku was the one who ended up giving these orders. So let's just real quick think about this. So Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the mark. Okay. First of all, let's no, come on. Real quick, clear all this out. And then fill it back in. My bad. Okay. So, we know that Asogi was originally meant to kill Gregson. And yeah, you have no idea what's going on? That's why I'm trying to figure out. So Asogi was meant to kill Gregson, and then Sheen was meant to kill Watson. The problem is who ordered this. And considering that the telegram was found in Jigoku's office, we can assume that he was the one on the Japanese side who kind of organized this. So the question is then, is that Asogi deviated from the plan. And then, instead of killing Gregson, which was the goal there, they probably attempted to assassinate Jigoku. Well, actually, I'm not entirely sure. This is the part that screws me up. Because we know that Gregson was apparently going to target Jigoku as part of the Reaper. Assuming that he was. So, Asogi didn't want to kill Gregson. I don't know, it's just that we don't know who is backing Jigoku, and I feel like that's the one piece that... that is completely keeping this part, like, out of line, where it doesn't make sense, is why Jigoku ended up being targeted in the first place. Like, did Asogi conspire with Gregson to then... Well, no. Ah, God. I'm so confused. I literally have none of this shit figured out. Alright. Oh, no, I wanted to disappear this. Okay. So Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the mob. Yes, that's exactly what it would mean. But someone did end up targeting Jigoku. Which was Gregson, presumably, but...
I hold myself personally responsible for failing to keep the inspector safe.
Mr. Holmes.
I told him of my fears and implored him to seek a transfer to an overseas position. Obviously, with the young pickpocket in tow.
Yes, Gina. Come to think of it, Inspector Gregson did mention that to us at the Great Exhibition. That he'd been transferring to the Paris police and taking Gina with him.
Without informing me, he engaged in one last assignment, it seems. And sadly, it turned out to be his very last.
It's too much to take in. Oh, man. I don't know, I guess thinking about all of it, the one possible backer that we could have in this situation would be, oh, that's not it. I wish I could just instantly have a second pen here. That was of a much larger size I could use to get rid of this, but, you know, it's fine. Probably Stronghart on the British side, proposing this exchange. So now, I guess the question is why did this end up turning out so wrong, is the thing. And why was Jigoku even on that ship to begin with? Like, was he trying to accompany the assassination? Just to make sure, like, everything goes well because he doubted Asogi could do it? But in that case, how did Asogi end up escaping alive, is the thing. I don't know, there's so many pieces missing that I just still can't tell. Right.
Isn't it, Holmesy? I mean, look at the time.
Ah, quite right, Iris. We must conclude our preparations for tomorrow.
What preparations?
Well, I think I shall make my way back to my hotel room now. There's certainly been a night to remember.
It is a little bit sad, though. I mean, I like the idea of you being my daddy. Because then, Susie would have been my big sister.
But, I mean, look, you don't need blood to be family. I'm sorry, Iris.
I know, Iris. I was thinking quite the same thing. Were you? But if somebody like me would be worthy, I would be delighted to become your sister anyway. What? Really? Oh yes, without question. So, you'll teach me all the ways you know to throw Ryu to the floor?
Of course, without question.
Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure.
You didn't have to agree quite so readily. Oh, but wait a minute. If Susie's gonna be my big sister, you can be my big brother if you want, real? Huh? I mean, yes, of course. If you'll have me, I'll gladly be your brother.
Well done, Iris. We must always be mindful of feelings. I've raised you so well.
Found family trope, yeah! Well, they were always found family. They've just made it official now. Ah ha ha ha! Just being sensitive is your strong suit, naturally. He's so good at his job, everybody. Right, I'm going to work extra hard for tomorrow now, because it's for my big brother and sister. What's all this talk about preparing for tomorrow? Preparing what? Hee. You'll just have to wait and see. Oh.
Good luck in court tomorrow. I'm expecting a sterling performance.
I'll do my very best, of course. Alright. So the overnight break in the trial's proceedings became a crucial turning point, exposing new truths whilst posing new conundrums. That list of 4 names in the telegram in Judge Shigoku's office, and the extraordinary assassination plot in which my best friend had somehow became involved. I felt as though I had been plunged into an even greater darkness all of a sudden, but at the same time, I felt sure I would see the light again soon. Found family, because I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful family in the world standing steadfastly behind me. Lovely. Great way to end that. To be continued. Alright. Save complete. I'm gonna take like 1 minute just to empty out my AC and then I'll be right back, so. Okay, literally 1 minute. Back to it. 4th of November, 9:30 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. I'm so used to the murmurs, and not hearing them now is so disorienting.
Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice. And the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion, that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end.
Resolve, yes. That's my intention.
My lord, if I may inquire.
The defendant may speak.
On what grounds is Kazuma Asogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor?
That's a good question.
He is admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution.
I submitted a written petition to Lord Stronghart, requesting that judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day.
Did what?
In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this 1 day.
Well, the thing is that you should be on the witness stand, not in the prosecutor's bench. But you know what? Sure. We don't have the budget to build another prosecutor right now.
Whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper.
Cosmo's bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we're headed into very dangerous territory. Well, did you ever see this ending out well? Let's be real. Is that really even Kazuma-sama's? Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us?
As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume.
Buckets we ball, my lord.
Bucket we ball. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Baruch Van Zieks.
The defense is ready to ball, my lord.
The prosecution is more than ready to ball.
Alright, I'll stop.
Very well then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asogi, begin. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Seishiro Jigoku into the courtroom.
At last, then, we've reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Ryunosuke. It's time for that steely resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. Resolve, resolve. It's the theme of this game. It's the theme.
Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. So it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena? I did what was necessary. Well, look what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you take that tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked.
This is gonna be hard, considering I kind of gave Jigoku and Stronghart the same voice.
My name is Seishiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am of course fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into that treaty.
Judge Jigoku, I must ask.
Well, I'd never. Fancy the young murdering student turned
Up here of all places. Dude! You found us innocent, literally! You acquitted me yourself. And now, I'm a practicing defense lawyer.
Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see.
Yeah, showing your true colors now, aren't you, bitch? You came here to London by an invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France.
Took flight? I have to object to that turn of phrase.
Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances?
Well, I was somewhat expecting this, and I'm sorry to say. I decline to comment.
What?
Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette. But my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that we haven't really indicted him of anything, so we can't really pressure him in any sort of way.
Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that.
So you would run from all this?
I beg your pardon.
This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now.
A year ago in Japan. The murder of Dr. John H. Watson, you mean?
That's right, and you, Judge Shigoku, are at the heart of both cases. Excuse me. The defense has evidence to prove it.
Well, Ryunosuke, I see from the look in your eyes that you're resolved to carry this through to the very end, too.
I'm just gonna keep a counter for every time they say the word resolve in this last case. Because goddamn.
Let's see your evidence, then. What proof do you have that Seishiro Jigoku is involved in this case?
Probably the telegram. That's the only thing that directly links Jigoku. That Jigoku is involved in this case. Actually, no, it would be the small component, because it's part of his watch. So this case specifically would have to be the small component.
What on earth is that?
This piece of evidence is a welcome present to the courthouse with the compliments of the defense.
Well, shit. You have a poor grasp of British court etiquette, counsel. That's the extent of your resolve. You disappoint me, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
But I thought we were tying this to Gregson, not literally everything. Okay. Alright, few key names. Okay. Yeah. I guess they wanted the telegram. Sure. Ah, damn it. The auto was already back in Holmes' suite. Alright. 3:35. Okay, this isn't too long ago. I can kind of speed through this. Kinda. It might take a minute. My bad for never saving. I thought it was obvious. Okay. Where did I put my phone? Ah, shit, it's on the floor. Yeah. 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 Okay. Oh. Man. I should not have checked my phone. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't overthink. Too late. Alright. Real quick, extra save. Okay. Bring him in, name, occupation, blah, blah, blah. I really wish I could fast forward this. Oh, okay. I'm just holding right click and it works. All right. Never mind. Okay. I can save here. Telegram from Japan.
Take that!
This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Watson.
You little... Where'd you get that?
In Tokyo. From your office, Judge Jigoku.
What? How on earth did you? What's all this about? Why is my name on that list?
This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Watson are the name of victims. K. Asogi and A. Shin are the names of assassins.
No.
A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Watson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett, but her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. A. Shin and her victim J. Watson. And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asogi, whose victim was the British police inspector Tobias Gregson. K. Asogi and T. Gregson. One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other.
What exactly is the defense suggesting?
These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as in a form of assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill.
What?
Yeah, let's just drop a bomb, like, right at the start of this trial. The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you.
Judge Jigoku, what's this all about?
Oh, he doesn't know. Oh, he doesn't know. So, Jigoku wasn't the one who told him to go and kill Gregson, then. And you, Kazuma, you lied. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you'd accepted the assassination mission, but the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract.
Very impressive, Ryunosuke.
But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Seishiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you.
Again, just lying by omission. God damn it.
You deliberately avoided saying a name.
The defense claims these 4 names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself?
His silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Grouse. Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now to refuse to put you in contempt of court.
Refuses to testify? Not on my watch. It's relevant to the case now, bitch.
Oh, there's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then. As a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord.
Alright. What bullshit is he gonna sling at the wall this time? Okay. The assassin exchange.
It's true that Kazuma Asogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved.
We literally... I mean, I guess we didn't get a picture of the bullet hole, but we know that the guard was paid off.
So you admit it then, as this communication suggests, there really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan.
No.
A political endeavor at the highest levels, not something I can discuss here.
Wow, okay, you just admit it. No, he could have just said, yeah, we just sent Asogi in to do the assassination, but we didn't get anything from Britain, so... He could have just completely cut out their involvement.
To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder. It's the most appalling thing I've ever heard.
Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge.
Pardon?
Asogi had a reason for taking a sword to that British inspector, you know.
What?
Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel?
Yeah, it was probably because Gregson made some shit up during the professor case that ended up with his father dying.
Kazuma-sama?
Probably the autopsy.
Judge Jigoku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain.
I'm not obliged to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. Crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk. Because if he'd been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that the member of the crew wouldn't have heard it.
Yeah, which just means it was covered up.
That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London, in the room on Fresno Street.
and the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Barack Van Zieks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. Clearly it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge such as the witness could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall there was someone on the British side who controlled everything.
Oh, he's not being subtle at all.
Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, counsel?
Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. Oh, man. How much more am I gonna have to go? Alright.
It's true that Cosmo Asogi was assigned to the assassination mission 1 year ago now.
Target. Actually, yeah, I need to press that. Fuck you. Alright. A year ago, when Cosmo was still in Japan then.
Correct. It was at the examination center for applicants for the study tour that I approached him. I'll never forget it. I remember exactly what you said.
You just came out and asked me forthright if I'd consider traveling to Britain on an assassination mission. Whoa, deadass! Surely not.
I thought it was a joke at first, of course, but then it was made clear to me that if I didn't accept, I wouldn't be considered for the study tour.
So you agreed to it just for that? I mean, I know how much you wanted to study in England, but assassination... Well, he clearly didn't do that. We've kind of established that.
The Empire of Japan had accepted a proposal from the British Empire at the time. An agreement to send a student from each country to the others to deepen cultural understanding and friendship. But behind the scenes, the chosen students were to be given assassination missions. I had no choice but to accept the proposal that originated from my British counterpart.
Why? Why didn't you expose the plot there and then?
Britain acknowledges no part in these alleged misbegotten dealings. I advise you not to make spurious allegations, Foreign Minister Jigoku. As a witness, I am bound to tell the truth, my lord. Anyway, I picked Asogi and explained the details of the plan to him. The target was Inspector T. Gregson.
Hold it!
Why him? Why Cosmo? Why did you pick him as the assassin?
He was the most capable of all the applicants, and in addition, I knew his desire to travel to Britain was very strong. In fact, it was almost more than a desire. It was his whole purpose in life.
Yes, as his best friend, I can certainly attest to that. The way he threw himself into his studies, the way he pursued becoming qualified as a lawyer. It was all ultimately for that one single goal of being accepted on a study tour to Britain. And of course, we know the reason behind that. He was determined to find out for himself the truth about his father, Genshin Asogi.
There's nothing I wouldn't have done to get here. Be that agreeing to assume the role of an assassin, or betraying people's trust. Jesus. Well, you certainly did a fine job of betraying mine, Asogi. Teehee.
But why was Inspector Gregson the target?
I have no idea. Those are the orders from Britain. I was in no position to question them.
You have no idea? Really? I find that hard to believe.
Oh, do you?
Judge Jigoku was once a visiting student here in Britain himself, of course. Perhaps he has some connection with Inspector Gregson from that time.
Defense really ought to catch up.
With what?
With the fact that the assassin exchange has absolutely nothing to do with the case under scrutiny here. Yes, I've already admitted to recruiting Asogi.
Something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. Yeah, the bonkening. The bed table incident. Or, the bedpost incident, yeah. I presume you're referring to the incident that occurred during Cosmo's passage to Britain in January. The awful tragedy that took place on the steamship.
Word arrived at the ministry some 2 weeks after the ship's departure from our shores. The visiting student had been killed, but his body had somehow gone missing in Hong Kong. News was wired to me from a detective I'd placed on the ship to accompany the assassin.
Obviously, Cosmo didn't actually die at all, but he did lose his memory, including all details about his special mission.
Did you not consider dispatching another assassin at that point? That wasn't possible, simply because that black-clad young student over there had already put himself forward as Asogi's replacement, and there was no way to stop him from reaching Britain.
Yeah, you could have been in serious danger. You could have been assassinated as well. Ah,
My hands were completely tied.
so Mr. Holmes' strategy worked perfectly.
He predicted everything that would happen. Months later, my memory returned. I never intended to go through with the assassination mission anyway. So you were playing me right from the outset, were you? Is that it? I'd sooner be guilty of that crime than taking someone else's life. I was prepared to do whatever I had to in order to get myself here to Britain. This line of questioning has gone on long enough. All the court should be concerned about in the testimony given by this witness are details relating to his relationship with Inspector Gregson and the victim's murder. In that case, as I've already made perfectly clear, I had no connection to the man or his death. And you have some means of substantiating this plea.
Alright, a member of the crew was on duty outside the cabin. Outside your cabin in the first-class area of the SS Grouse, you mean?
Yes, that's right. Not least because there was a murder of a student passenger earlier in the year, I imagine. The liner operators have taken to posting a crewman outside every first-class cabin door. I can confirm the presence of the crewman guard myself.
What do you mean?
Because I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk that night, I witnessed it with my own eyes. There was a well-built crewman standing guard directly in front of the door to the witness's cabin. At that particular time, of course, I'd gone to the ship's dining room for dinner. The inspector and I asked the crewman to allow us into the cabin while we waited for Judge Yugoku's return.
I suppose Inspector Gregson was there in his capacity as the Reaper. He was intending to take the witness's life.
Exactly. As I've said numerous times now, I had no intention of killing anyone.
So the crewman had let 2 potential assassins into the cabin he was supposed to be guarding. Not the most convincing of sentries, really.
In truth, those were my thoughts too. But anyway, I stayed to talk with Inspector Gregson for a short while, and then I left him there and made my way off the steamship alone.
Was the guard still at the door when you went?
Yes, he glared at me as I walked past. You see, that proves it.
If there'd been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved.
Hold it!
The crewman who was standing directly outside your cabin door, you mean?
That's right. A muscular man with a permanent grim expression on his face. He didn't once move from that spot. To be honest, I thought he was a miserable fellow. But as it happens, he's a vital witness now.
Ah, yeah, good for you, buddy.
There's no doubt that Gregson was killed by a gunshot. And it's inconceivable that a crewman standing just outside the cabin door wouldn't have heard that.
But wait, what about the ship's enormous steam engines? The noise of them could have drowned out the sound of the gun being fired.
Sadly, young judicial assistant, that won't wash.
Oh,
You'll recall that my cabin was in the first-class area of the ship, which is, of course, the quietest. Don't imagine for a moment that is anything like steerage where the judicial assistants go. Well, damn.
I didn't mean. But a hole like that made by a bullet was found in your cabin, Judge Jigoku. There's compelling evidence that a gun was fired in there. Yeah, but it doesn't suggest that was fired on the night of the murder.
What's that? A bullet hole? Oh yes, you're talking about what the detective uncovered in the wall yesterday, I presume. There was obviously a rotten panel eaten out by woodworm. No doubt he didn't find an actual bullet.
That's the hole in this argument. Yeah, no evidence of it.
Sadly, I was unable to arrange for the crewman to be brought back to Britain with me. But obviously, if a gun had been fired in my cabin on the night in question as the defense implies, I would have been arrested on the spot and would never have made it to Britain in the first place. Very true. The witness's logic is sound. Since no gunshot was heard from the witness's cabin on the night in question, we must assume the witness is telling the truth. I'm glad you've seen sense, my lord.
What happened to you, dude? I know Cosmo's already admitted to taking on this incredible assassination plot, but even so, hearing it confirmed by somebody else is still a real shock. It's unforgivable, using Cosmo-sama's feelings to manipulate him into agreeing to such a despicable plan. Well, I think Cosmo manipulated Judge Jigoku too. He completely double-crossed him. Yeah, there was no collateral involved, so... Oh dear, it's hard not to see that as a stroke of brilliance on Cosmo-sama's part. One way or another, though, Gregson ended up dead. I really think the murder must have happened aboard that steamship. So you mean... Right. Judge Jigoku must be lying. I know I shouldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment, but you must destroy him, Mr. Naruhodo. Damn! Here's a gun. Take him out. Take the shot. Alright.
in question. He was outside at all times. Crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved. Is there anything I can show here? Outside his cabin. So we need either evidence that the shot... Evidence that the crewman couldn't hear the shot, or evidence that the crew member was not outside the cabin. Practice evacuation. Ooh, following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures. The drill will take 20 minutes. Okay, not at all times. Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Jigoku's cabin. However, we can be sure that contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st.
What? Where'd you get that?
It's evidence gathered by Mr. Sherlock Holmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember. Remember?
Sherlock Holmes again.
According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m., and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Grouse were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill.
All crewmen were away from their posts.
And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime.
Objection!
Let's get this bastard.
20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Ryunosuke.
But it amounts to nothing. Yeah, it's just possibility, it's no proof.
Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin. Unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, counsel?
Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. Because the defense has the evidence to prove it.
You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel.
What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Jigoku's cabin? Well, that would be the small component. Surely this time. Surely. This time it's relevant. This time, you bet your sweet ass it is. Relevance. Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday.
What is that? The crown of a pocket watch. A pocket watch?
And if you'll observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part.
It can't be.
Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill, in the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku.
Well, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer?
Goddamn.
Objection!
Hypocritical bastard.
Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first.
But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. Yeah, it's still not definitive. What?
And I believe Judge Jigoku feels the same way. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year.
Sorry?
If I'd known that would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast.
What a cunt!
I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled.
Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point.
The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume? Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st October. Of course, as a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay, the events in the cabin.
I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an Iponseo I throw, though. He couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain, because his body was found in London.
Yeah, the real question is, how did Jigoku even know about the secret room?
Iponseo, a common Jujutsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin is no way proves that the victim's murder took place there.
Yeah.
I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord.
But if this testimony holds, Judge Jigoku will be deemed to have had no involvement in this case.
Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on a cross-examination.
Sorry, my lord. The defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander it.
You're an embarrassment to your countrymen, not knowing when you're beaten.
I don't know. We keep getting knocked down, but not for the TKO, at least.
In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo.
After all, he has no definitive proof of his innocence either. Haha, got him. Had a guest waiting for me. Because a so-called god posted at your cabin door had just let your killer pass, you mean?
Apparently, Gregson told the crewman he was a police inspector, which was the truth, of course.
We wouldn't have had his identification with him, though.
He had his trench coat and mustache, not to mention the bag of chips. I imagine the crewman was convinced.
But the man accompanying him would have had 2 swords slung around his waist.
You mean me?
Who else?
Yes, that's true. You would have had hoped the sight of a few swords might have set off alarm bells in the guard's head. The point is, I left the cabin before its occupant returned, and I immediately disembarked the ship. Certainly, all I can tell you is that only the inspector was waiting for me when I arrived back in my cabin. And you entered without any inkling of suspicion. That's right, none whatsoever.
Alright, foolishly waving a gun. Obviously, you're talking about Inspector Gregson.
Yes, though at the time I didn't know the man's name. And there was no time for introductions. I value my life over manners.
By which you mean that the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose?
That was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I've never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all my life. Anyone would think the man had never shot somebody before.
Believe it or not, most of us haven't. Yeah, considering that you're a Japanese man, you have very strict gun laws there too, most likely.
Anyway, there was no time to call for the help of the crewman at the door, so I dealt with the man myself.
I have no idea what gun law in Japan is in, like, 1900, but, I would still say most people probably haven't shot a gun in that era. Right.
Hold it!
Even though the man had a gun, that was a very brave move, wasn't it?
Ah ha ha ha! My Ponseoi is far faster than a bullet, I can assure you.
But surely all that commotion caused the crewman to come in, didn't it?
Yes, of course. He burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at the stocky fellow and just managed to slip past him to make his escape.
The outstanding guard does it again.
Luckily, there aren't many situations I can't get out of using a quick Iponseo throw.
So are you like sponsoring a school or something? Like, that's what's going on? Thanks to the Iponseo School of Throwing. Alright.
Hold it!
The crown snapped off and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked.
Preferable to the man's head being pulled off or his spine cracking, wouldn't you say?
Not that the man was spared for long. A bullet to the chest soon saw to that. But the point is, the broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place.
Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my Jujutsu throw.
Whatever you say, it doesn't quite ring true that no shot was fired in that cabin. Because there was an obvious bullet hole in the wall.
Ah ha ha!
We still haven't proved that's a bullet hole.
What are you talking about? Huh? That's what the star of your lowbrow detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin.
Alright. One more. Because his body was found in London.
Hold it!
But there's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive.
Just take a moment to think that idea of yours through now, stripling.
Yeah, it becomes a matter of transporting the body.
What? If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have gotten back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at that same spot. It's a devil of a thing.
Well, then, obviously the culprit must have moved the body.
How exactly? Carrying a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think?
Well, yes, that's true, but...
All passenger luggage is inspected as and unloaded from arriving vessels. And I would like to think that border police would query the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage.
Yeah. So the trunk would have definitely been inspected if he took it off. Damn it.
If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain.
That's killed that idea then. Yeah, so I'm still thinking that there were conspirators on the ship then. Or some that were bribed at the very least. But perhaps not.
Mr. Sato?
We've heard that first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard them, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body in the sea. Yes, that's true. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative.
Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain it in words you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony, with your consent, of course, my lord. I have no objection. State your amended testimony now.
Alright, there's no possible way I could transport the victim's corpse back to Britain. Alright. Do we have any proof? Ah. Could I even put it in Gregson's trunk? Maybe. Well, nah, it still has all of his stuff in it. I'm not sure. Also, I need to go to the bathroom real quick, so I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Alright, there we go. You know, just to make sure, let's press him. There's an idea.
Think about it, stripling. All passengers and crew disembarked at the same time and passed through the same checks at the border. The symposium guests were then driven straight to the hotel in carriages organized by the ministry.
We met you as soon as you arrived at the hotel.
So you did. Well then, remind me, did I have a corpse over my shoulder at the time?
No, but we did take a photo. Is there anything in there that could correspond to his death? He did have this trunk with him. However, nothing else. Actually, is that his own trunk or is that Gregson's trunk? No, it seems to be his own trunk. What? No!
So we're in agreement then. I couldn't possibly have brought the inspector's body back to Britain. Unless, of course, they've developed some clever device these days to instantly move things from A to B.
Funny you should say that. Yeah, considering case 3. Professor Harebrain's invention didn't actually work, if you remember, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, of course. The defense has become unusually quiet, I notice. Yes, because there's really nothing more to say.
So that's his story. Well, I suppose if you think about it, whenever you drop a teacup in the office and it breaks, we don't say, Mr. Naruhodo must have been murdered there, do we?
As that's a veiled threat about what might happen to me if I break another one.
And the fact is that Inspector Gregson's body was found in the little room on Fresno Street. If he really was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin,
The body would have been moved somehow, obviously. Transporting a dead body over a country border, that would be impossible for a majority of people. Keyword, a majority. So there must have been some special circumstances that made it possible for the culprit then.
that could be a vital realization, I think, Mr. Naruhodo.
Alright, had a guest waiting, waving a gun. Watch was broken, nothing to do with it. No way I could have transported the corpse. Would have had to have been put into the freezer. Evacuation drill, the sword, telegram, passport, autopsy report. Can I just show the photograph and point to his trunk?
Objection!
Yeah. There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Gregson's body, you say? I would say the opposite is true. And what's that supposed to mean? Far from being impossible for you to do so. The transport of Inspector Gregson's body back to Britain is something only you can do. What are you talking about, Ryunosuke? As well as being a judge, Mr. Jigoku is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs, which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. Did they ever say that? I don't think they ever said that. We learned that when we first met you upon your arrival in London. Oh, did they say that? Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took a rather lot of time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Ah, I knew you were jealous. Ah ha ha ha.
And he just had Gregson's body in that trunk the entire time? Oh my god.
I presume you recall this, Judge Jigoku? It's a photograph we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. As the court will note, you have with you your large travel trunk. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside.
But Mr. Naruhodo, surely you're not suggesting...
I'm afraid I am, yes. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Gregson was just meters away from us inside Judge Jigoku's trunk. What a bastard. Order in court. I'm skeptical, counsel, that a grown man's body could fit inside even the largest travel trunk. It could. He's already proven it, because I happen to know that the witness himself, a man of considerable size, fits inside his trunk. And verifying that would be extremely simple, wouldn't it, Judge Jigoku?
But inside his trunk? How horrifying.
And after we'd spoken with you at the Great Waterloo Hotel, you had the opportunity to visit the apparent scene on Fresno Street, taking your trunk with you in a cab to deposit the inspector's body. I don't have to listen to this nonsense. Dr. Gori, the coroner who examined the body, has confirmed the possibility. She's acknowledged that there are signs that steps may have been taken to disguise the true time of death. The onset to the body's decomposition could have been delayed by storing it in a refrigerator. Counsel, as I remember explaining yesterday, refrigerators of the requisite size are few and far between.
But yeah, we know there's one on that ship.
Yes, I'm sure they are, but one place they're certainly found is on large ocean liners. Such ships are equipped with electrically refrigerated cold rooms to keep food fresh on their long sea voyages, and the SS Grouse is no exception. Professor Mikatoba told me about it only yesterday. Well, Judge Jigoku? Get his ass! However much you prolong this debate, you can't eliminate the truth. All the evidence points to you being the killer.
Yeah, all the circumstantial evidence, by the way. Like, we need this trunk to actually verify if there's any blood in it.
Well, this is all very heartening. I can see that it was a wise move letting Asogi and you embark on this study tour.
What are you talking about now?
Logical reasoning, of course. All court proceedings will be built on logical reasoning in the new century. And I can see that you've both laid firm foundations for that already.
Judge Shikoku, please, stop diverting attention from the issue at hand. The defense has made an accusation against you. How do you respond?
Respond? There's really no need for me to respond, is there?
Why ever not?
Because before you can even begin to answer the question of when the victim was killed, you must first establish one key fact. Where was the victim killed? It's quite logical.
The actual scene of the crime.
The prosecution's stance is unaltered. The killing took place in Fresno Street when the gun was shot was heard. As the accused, Barak Van Zieks shot the victim at point-blank range. Since no tangible evidence exists to disprove the prosecution's claim at this time, the defense's deductions amount to little more than an elaborate fairy tale. I'm afraid that's how the logical reasoning the British are known for really works, young stripling.
Alright. Quick review. Yeah. We've only proven a possibility still. The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly. I'm afraid it's the prosecution's claim that's the only fairy tale here.
How can you say that?
Quite simply, because that claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession.
Very tantalizing, counsel. I think you had better explain yourself to the court, don't you?
The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. Well, this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. Evidence that he didn't die instantly. Probably the trunk that has blood on it? Small component telegram. I'm thinking the trunk. Let's just try it.
Take that!
Fuck. Oh god, I don't know how much longer this is gonna go. God damn it. I'm hooked, but I have a bunch of other shit that I need to do today. God damn it. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to end it here, guys. I'm sorry. It's, there's just so much evidence to suggest that there's gonna be at least another 3 hours of gameplay, and I don't have that time today. We're gonna have to save it for later. I'm so sorry. Alright. Well, thank you all very much for coming down today. Whoever is still here. Anyone who's still here. If Kaito, you're still here. Thank you very much for coming in here. It was very fun talking to you. Drop a follow if you could. Love to see you next time. Paladin, thank you very much as well. And Frostonics, of course, you too. So,